Oh, God damn it. Laptop McCown, for whatever reason, does not like to hold my audio settings.
Uh-oh.
Welcome to Beerfield, where we might be late to this show, but at least your period's not. I'm your host at Beerfield Hop with 2 P's. As always, joined by Beerfield 30 with 2 E's. I don't know where that came from.
It's so on point. Oh, also, we're celebrating another milestone.
Are we?
365 episodes. We now have an episode for every day of the year.
Oh, we do have an episode for every day of the year. So if you start with episode 1 on January 1st, which you actually can't even go listen to anymore, you'll finish out by the last
You're
day
lucky,
of the
guys.
Year. Yeah, if you were longing for fantasy advice from 2017, I'm sorry, you can't get to any of those anymore.
When the first prospect we talk about is Stan's QB1, Deshaun Kaiser. Oh. I'm glad that
so bad.
I'm glad that can't be found anymore.
It was so bad.
Oh, terrible.
Yep, I'm rocking Laptop McCown for one more episode, but we got Desktop Taysom Hill that's a little broke but still serving a purpose. On the other
so Cam
side,
Newton?
On the other, well, I don't know that Cam.
I don't know if it's serving a purpose.
Never mind, I'll get hated on Twitter for that.
You
You said it. I don't have to. Remember, that is at Beerfield Theory. Shows at Beerfield. We don't ever promote that. We just got done talking to Nick about how we're really bad about self-promotion.
Because Nick did all of it.
For a
I
show
blame
that
Nick.
the first year was really big on shameless self-promotion. Not so great at shameless self-promotion anymore.
That was our whole gimmick for the first 2 years.
It was indeed. And situations are situational, and versatility.
Versatility.
Oh,
And I'll believe it or I'll see it when I believe it.
and draft capital matters or something like that.
Something like
Landing spot matters. That's
landing
what it was.
spot manners.
Landing
yes.
spot matters. We're in front of a live studio audience who's shooting me looks from the reminiscing.
Is she
right
down
now.
here? Oh,
She's off to my left, yeah.
look at her go.
Hanging out away from.
Is she gonna edit another
upstairs, just
episode now?
relaxing. No, we don't edit anymore. She's
That's
actually
the
the
joke.
reason we don't edit anymore.
That's fair. That's right.
All right, we got a show for you today because that's what we do here. We've also got a show for you on Sundays. Make sure you tune in Sunday mornings to the live stream because you get all your start-sit questions answered. Some of the advice is even good.
You know, sometimes a blind squirrel can find a nut too.
Yep. And you're in your playoff push, so you might as well get it from as many sources as you can.
It's right. And blame them all when you get it wrong.
Blame them all when you get it wrong because you don't still set your lineup. By the way, I'm actually kind of disappointed at the lack of hate we get. Like, I feel like you haven't made it until you have people that shit talk you for everything you say. We definitely, 5 years in, have not made it. We don't get shit talked.
I feel like we peaked when Drew made that mock Twitter account for us.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe we victory lap too soon. I mean, we were there. Long-time listeners know when Nick was on and gave a shit more than all of us. Made us actually try.
By the way,
we were on the verge of making it.
I sent him the Zoom info, and yeah, he's not going to join us.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure. Anyway,
too busy.
yeah, is that what he said?
I have no clue. I'm just making it up.
Assuming that's
I'm
what he
just
said.
assuming that's the answer.
All right, we got a full show for you. We're gonna talk some things that aren't necessarily NFL related. There's another sport with some big things happening, so we're gonna talk about that briefly, and then get into some news. Some big week for injuries, so we're gonna talk about some of those, the implications, what you should do to adjust as you make the playoff push. Do some ADP check-in. There's a lot being made about the zero running back strategies, so we're going to go back and look at a couple years and see how well that actually stands up because a lot of victory laps happening, which, by the way, is really weird to me. I tweeted this out. That's at Beerfield Hop with 2 P's. I don't understand how you're not allowed to victory lap. Twitter says, and the court of Twitter public opinion says, rightfully, you cannot victory lap a player if you're right because of injury. So whether it's a handcuff strategy or, somebody not being good and they get hurt and then subsequently don't produce because they're hurt, et cetera, you're not supposed to victory lap that.
Yeah.
But 5 people get hurt and we can victory lap the whole strategy. So one person getting hurt bad, don't victory lap that. 5 people get hurt, victory lap it.
I mean, zero RB is basically based off of running backs getting hurt. It's the next man. Like the whole strategy it's just finding, ambiguous backfields and then kind of hoping things get shaked up, which is injury occurs.
It's rooted in Leonard Fournette this year, basically. Or Myles Gaskin the last couple of years. It's rooted in guys like that you get later in the draft that produce. It's not rooted in injuries necessarily. It's rooted in you can find somebody that produces and they're overall less volatile, which, yes, injuries are part of the volatility. But come on. We'll talk more about that. But before we do that, we're drinking. Because that's the other thing we do here.
What's fueling Beer Fueled?
What do you got, Dan?
All right, I am drinking Firestone Walker's Cinnamon Dolce Nitro Stout. This is a nitro stout made with cinnamon and vanilla spices. Obviously, with it being nitro, mutes a bit of the it gets rid of the carbonation to help bring forth more of a creamy mouthfeel. Obviously, when you're drinking nitro, if they have the metallic ball inside, like all Guinness cans do, and left-hand milk stout cans do, then you don't have to worry about, hard pours or anything. But for most nitro cans, you want to make sure that you are hard pouring into a 16.9 ounce glass. That's again, it's allowing the beer to cascade and then come down in glorious fashion. It rides up and then,
and you learn
how to cascade. And you learn how to pour.
All right. I have 2 things. One is kind of going to be a fun activity at the end, but the actual beer is 3 Floyd's Sicario Pina.
There you go.
This was recommended to me by Owen. So, Owen.
Yeah.
Pennies.
Very, very, very sour from what I've heard.
He very, very much, after talking to him, likes he likes funk in his beers. He likes some yeasty funk. So
he's very much a wild ale and farmer's ale enthusiast.
Yep. And he recommended this. So this is a pineapple Brett Saison. Brett comes from Brettanomyces, I think is how you say it. But basically, It's a characteristic of, I believe, the yeast. It's one of the more popular bacterias. Yeah, bacteria, that's what it is. It's a bacteria, and not all bacteria in your beer is bad. Brett is good. Lactobacillus is good, right, when you're brewing a sour style, and that's what gives it a little bit of funk. And we use funk because there's not really a better way to describe it.
You'll hear people say, farmhouse, Brett, those styles, like hay, grass. It takes the culture. A lot of those sours that are being used will take the culture of the environment that the beer is being made in. It's a very beer nerdy style. You're not going to find a lot of novice drinkers. They feel very intimidated. You shouldn't, because the beers are often,
they're pretty good.
Somewhat crushable. They're obviously good. I mean, especially if you like that style, and you're okay with a bit of the funkiness that comes from it.
Yeah, very approachable for the most part. So.
Yeah, it should. You would think so, right? It's like it's like sours in general, or to the novice beer drinker, can be very intimidated by the style because they expect whatever they expect to happen.
Yeah, I will say this about funky beers. You're not going to be the worst case scenario is there's a little off taste in there you don't like. You're not going to be overpowered by them ever. They're not going to be big. Well, they'll be bold, but they're not going to be too much for you to take. They're not going to overpower you. It's not going to be something that you're like, holy crap, I want to drain pour this. It's just, there might be a little bit of an off note that you don't like, and that's fine.
It's always recommend. I always recommend people, if you have a chance to try stuff for free, try as many styles as you can. Go to your big local liquor stores, or if you have Hy-Vees or whatever you have that sells liquor and sells craft beer there, and see when they're doing tastings, because the off chance you're going to find beers like this style that you can try for free.
Or just do a pick your six if they've got that option too, and then you're out $2 if you don't like it.
Yeah, a lot of places are doing the pick six format, which is you created a 6-pack based on single beers that are generally cheap.
Yep.
So,
all right, and then the other thing we have, which I'll break out the second part of the episode, St. Louis Bourbon Society Advent Calendar started today. So this, I don't know what it is.
Where's mine?
I don't have one for you.
I'm kidding. I know.
This, I don't know what it is. Just like the next 24 days, I'll be drinking bourbon or whiskey, where I don't know what it is. All I know is it's sample one. So I'll be drinking it on air, making a guess of proof, making a guess of flavor profile, trying to take a guess at what I think it is, and then actually checking the reveal to figure out what it is. So, drinking blind. Also, probably the coolest sample bottle I've ever seen, because it's a little... that
looks so dope.
It's a little 3-ounce flip top, basically.
Yeah, it's how the Grolsch beers come in.
Yeah. All right. News. So before we get to the NFL, let's talk the MLB for a second. Something pretty big. We're not talking MLB free agency or anything like that. There's been a lot of movement there. More conceptually speaking, though, did you see this shit about the baseballs?
I have not. The only thing that I've seen in baseball world has been all the free agents, and you know me, I don't stay on top of the baseball world. So
yeah, free agency is happening. The CBA expires at midnight tonight, so they're facing another lockout. The MLB is.
I saw the post on our group chat that the chat lasted about 7 minutes, and then they dispersed because they couldn't reach whatever they needed to reach.
Yep, the owners didn't like the players' proposal, so here we are facing a lockout that could delay the start of spring training, I think is what most people are expecting right now. But the bigger news is that the MLB got caught using 2 different baseballs this year. And the reason that's big, for those that don't follow the MLB, is that they last year were accused of juicing baseballs. Home run numbers were way up. Pete Alonso of the Mets came out and accused them of modifying the baseball to impact what the free agents are going to be paid next year, right? So last year was a big pitching-heavy class coming into free agency, so they juiced the baseball, which inherently tanks pitcher numbers. This year, big hitter-heavy class, deadened the baseball to reduce the offensive numbers. And, the MLB after last year came out and said, well, we're going to use this lighter ball, kind of go back closer to what we were using, get rid of that juice baseball. Well, come to find out, they didn't. There was actually a mix of both type of balls. They tried to blame COVID, but that was disproven. I guess that what happened there was the MLB tried to say we were short on the new baseball, so we had to use backstock of the old ball. However, the new baseball started being produced at the end of 2019, middle of the end of 2019, and they restarted production of the old balls in January of 2020, before COVID. So the accusation right now is that the MLB is introducing balls there's 2 schools of thought. One, to manipulate the value of the free agency class, which is going to be a huge issue with the CBA coming up. And also, sports betting was legalized this year. Sites, because games became so unpredictable, stopped posting over-unders for sports betting.
So you think MLB did it in a way to try to minimize sports gambling?
I think that they did it in a way to try to manipulate sports gambling towards
I see. Okay,
one outcome or the other.
I don't know why.
By using a different ball to control the offense.
Yeah, I was going to say sports should be embracing betting. It just brings more attention and money to it. Like, I'm surprised. Like I'm so shocked it's not legalized for all sports in all states. It's just a money hungering scheme. I mean, I what if Vegas and them were in cahoots?
That's what I think. Because the MLB did. A lot of their regional sports networks are bought by Bally, and they did the same thing the NFL is by trying to, there's the problem. They did the same thing the NFL did by marketing to the gambler, but then if you're manipulating the outcome or potentially manipulating the outcome based on the balls you're using, you're putting money in the casino's pockets.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, you might get an off chance that a line that is supposed to go under goes over or, vice versa. So maybe they, it hurts them, but it's going to help them in more often than not. It's going to help skew the numbers. That's insane.
Yeah,
I want to know what happened. Like, I know it's going to be a long, drawn out battle. I wonder if that's going to affect, like you mentioned, the CBA.
Probably
getting signed in time because these players are. That's like we oftentimes as just middle class workers. I get fucking livid when my money gets messed with.
Yeah, I do too.
I've gotten into arguments. I've lost. I've had my starting or I've had my current hourly pay reduced without my knowledge before, and I flipped this shit and almost sued the company, and like so. This is millions of dollars potentially amongst players, and these guys work their ass off their entire life for these couple moments that they can make enough money. I mean, more than enough money, but in their minds, earn that right to get there, and that's being taken advantage of. That's just, I mean, I'm not shocked by it. I mean, it doesn't. The sad part is it doesn't surprise me. Mm-hmm. It's just very, very sad that that may be a part of it.
Yeah. Some other things that are sticking points in the CBA outside of DH to the NL is free agency. So the MLB wanted to tie free agency directly to how old you are. So 29. 29 is when you hit free agency. Doesn't matter if you come up at 18, 21. 29 is free agency instead of 6 years of service time.
How is that? How is that's horrible?
Obviously, the players' union balked at that and said we're not doing that.
Oh fuck! Hell no.
Now, I think that they want more of a hybrid approach of where it's you have this much service time or you hit this age. There are some other things too. Salary floor is something that I think that the players very much want.
That's fair. It'd be smart for some of the teams that are just trying to completely tank.
Yeah, some changes for the luxury tax. So it'll be interesting to watch because to tie this back to the NFL with us being primarily a football show, right? NFL CBA is going to be a thing in the not too distant future either. I don't know when theirs expires next.
Yeah.
But, that's the type of stuff you're going to have to watch, in the NFL. Guaranteed money. Let's see. When does the NFL CBA expire? 2030.
What I want to see happen.
Never mind. 2030, we'll be talking about the NFL CBA.
No, so 9 years. I want to see, and this was talked about on Twitter, and we talked about it last week, about trade deadlines in fantasy football and, and thoughts on them for Dynasty. I want to see trade deadlines abolished in all sports and actual sports. Yeah. I want to see the fucking chaos that teams would bring upon themselves and the type of risks they would go for to see if they can bring home a championship. Because the more I think about it, it's like that type of embrace. And just think about it, right? You're on you're going to the Super Bowl. You're on this roster. You're some fucking backup guy, and you get traded, or some even some starter, some guy who plays special teams, and all of a sudden you're moved to a different team, and your chances of playing in the Super Bowl is gone. I want to see that type of fucking chaos. So we see quarterbacks getting moved, last minute deals that, or last minute trades that see this insane return. Imagine Tom Brady gets traded. He doesn't make the Super Bowl, then he's traded to one of the Super Bowl teams in year 2045 because Brady will be playing at that point still. That shit would be fucking awesome.
Yeah. Couple of It'd be insane, but I don't think you'll ever see that happen just because of
I don't think it'll ever happen.
collusion and competitive balance in the NFL. You get somebody on a 1-year deal, you know?
No, I know.
I will say that a couple other sticking points, by the way. The qualifying offer system, which is terrible. You know how that works?
I'm assuming you have to put up enough.
No. So depending on your service time with a team when you hit free agency, they can do what's called a qualifying offer, which is a 1-year deal at a set salary. It's kind of like a franchise tag.
Okay.
But it's not quite as tight as the franchise tag is. So the franchise tag, they tag you, you're still on the team, right?
Yeah.
Whether you sign it or not, you got to try to force the issue. The qualifying offer, you can decline and hit free agency, but if you do, your previous, whoever signed you also has to give up draft pick compensation to your previous team if they sign you.
So it's like the transition tag.
Yeah, if you're signed with a qualifying offer.
Like you see that happen in football. Very rarely does it actually, you see anything come from it. Teams will assign a draft pick to a player that would be attached to it if another team is to, get an agreement from the player off of there. So
yep.
Doesn't happen often, but every now and then you see it.
Yep. So, yeah, that's one of the sticking points. Anyway, all right, on to the NFL. Adrian Peterson signed to the Seahawks practice squad. I mean,
this whole practice squad, like the new change to practice squad, it's just ridiculous.
It's got to be, yeah, it is. Although there are some good things that I'm glad stuck, like, unlimited IR reinstatements.
I really like that, and I like the lowered of the IR time to 3 weeks. I think that is fantastic. If teams use it properly. Looking at you, Cleveland.
Ep. Well, from a fantasy perspective, it very, very much makes it to where you kind of know, right? They go on IR, they're at least out for 3 weeks, and then you can plan on that accordingly. You're not week to week what's going on.
Yeah.
Seattle has a struggling offense right now, basically. DK Metcalf, last 3 games, he's under 5 receptions, under 35 yards, no touchdowns. Tyler Lockett's been a bit better, just 10 targets over that time frame, over the last 2 weeks. But he's at least over 200 yards. No running attack.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No running attack. Russell Wilson's been bad. I mean, Peterson's got to be worth a speculative ad, right? Especially if you're in the boat where you just lost Dalvin Cook or DeAndre Swift or
well, he's back to being worth it. I mean, it just depends. He couldn't beat out Deonta Foreman or Dontrell Hilliard, and now he gets to go to a new whole cast of characters that resemble the same outlook. So I don't know if he's worth the speculative ad, but he goes from a high-scoring Tennessee offense to a Seattle offense that can't put up any points.
They need a spark.
I don't know how a 36-year-old running back, or however old he is a spark at this point when he got, replaced already. I mean, if it works out great for them, the running game is not the sole problem with Seattle. I mean, maybe Russ is still battling back from his injury, but they have found a way to neuter an offense with Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett to this point. I don't know how anybody in this coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball has a fucking job after this year. That is unbelievable.
I don't know either, and I don't know if it's just the offensive line, if Russ is still not right, if it's both. It was a finger injury on his throwing hand, so that's
true.
Impacting some things. Maybe he's hesitant. I don't know. He looks worse than we've ever seen him look, though.
He looks. Not only does he look worse, like he doesn't look as engaged. Like, I know that's really bad. And this isn't me coming after him on his worth ethic. He just looks like he doesn't want to be there anymore. Like the last 2 years, his whole premise is let me cook, let Russ cook, blah blah this, blah blah that. And you got to see glimpses of it last year in the first part of the season. You saw glimpses of it this year to start the season. That was probably mirrored by a bad defense that forced him to throw more. But Russ has been one of the most efficient quarterbacks since he's been in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And he has the second highest touchdown rate of his career alongside Aaron Rodgers, the only 2 quarterbacks to be 6+. We know how good Russ is. We know how good their receiving core is. And yet it's like, I think this is the culmination of a run first team with a personnel base for a pass first offense. And it's just,
yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then losing Chris Carson didn't help that, right? Because
not at all.
I mean, they would have been a lot like Tennessee, where they will run first, keep and use the pass to keep teams off balance, and then you lose Chris Carson unexpectedly. Rashad Penny, we said it about Penny coming out, to where Penny is explosive, but Penny needs a line. He does not create for himself. Penny needs a line to be able to do what he does, and there's not a line there. So now I don't know if it's too much. He's being asked to do more than he should. I don't know if it's the fact that the offense is just it's scheme, if they're just trying to work downfield too much and he doesn't have time. Yeah, I'd really need to watch a full Seahawks game to figure it out instead of just the tidbits here and there that we get on Red Zone. But
I watched a part of that game Monday. It's not even, I mean, they're not working the ball downfield really at all. And maybe, I mean, it's probably a combination of all of this that we're talking about. The lack of running game, a poor offensive line. Maybe Russ isn't, completely healthy, but who is at this point, and maybe that's affecting it. The fact that this is his first losing season ever, and it looks like a big change is going to happen. He was in trade rumors in the offseason. Throughout the entire of the offseason, there were, like, even before this past offseason, there was rumblings that he may not be there after his contract is up. So there might be a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and we'll obviously see how that plays out. But this looks like we're into a big divorce of Mr. Wilson and the Seahawks organization, or they're going to let Pete Carroll go and let Rush handpick his coordinator or play caller.
Yeah, I mean, touchdown percentage is way down for him. Interception percentage is about where it's been at career-wise, just looking at some of the stuff. Yards per attempt would be tied for second highest in his career. Air yards per attempt would be about where it's been. A little over career average, but about where it's been. Yards per completion would be the highest of his career. So, they may be working it downfield a little bit more, but also, some of the underlying numbers are not necessarily that far off, other than the efficiency numbers being down a bit. Like, completion percentage is right in line with his career average. Pass attempts are, I think, about where they've been at for his career. So it's just kind of one of those things, looking at it, where you're like, well, this just on the surface, just, you don't see where they've done anything. He doesn't appear to be regressing. It's just not working. So that says more of the team around him than anything, I think.
Well, that, and
other than the efficiency numbers, but they use the running game to sustain drives, right? So that's going to hurt your efficiency numbers.
I mean, he's always been a hyper efficient too. He's always been he's a lot like Rodgers, where he doesn't need a lot to produce. Turns from a statistical standpoint, in a team that is very willing to lean on the run. Think of the Patriots, with Tom Brady for the latter part of his career. If the running game's going, then they don't need their quarterback to win that game. They won't use them. So, I mean, we'll see, right? Russ is going to be 34 at some point this offseason. Well, 33, I don't remember what his birthday is, but it'll be, I mean, we may be set to see, he just turned 33.
Yeah.
November 29th. So
I will say that just looking at this, it doesn't seem like he's necessarily the problem.
I don't think he's the problem. I mean, most people have been talking about Russ and just how the Seahawks, and especially with Pete Carroll, have never really let him loose. We've seen it a few times, 546 in 2016, back when the defense, when we're starting to see their defense more and more regress. But
yeah, it's only been over 550 pass attempts twice, and that was 2017 and 2020.
Yeah.
So 4,200 yards both years. Last year was obviously insane from the touchdown numbers and everything. But yeah.
And a lot of that was sparked by their early season start to it, too, when they were letting him cook.
So This is also his first losing season, which probably
Yeah.
plays into the mentality of it a bit. He's not had a losing season
Yeah.
yet.
Oh yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier. I think
Yeah.
I think he's over it. I think he's ready to move on.
So what do you do with DK Metcalf right now? You've got
These guys are holds. You can't hold them. I mean,
well
in Dynasty or in redraft. Sorry.
redraft. Sorry, I'm talking
Okay.
redraft. I am making a playoff push. I have DK Metcalf. I spent a high draft pick on DK Metcalf. I've got 3 straight weeks of duds from him now, and the only thing that saved in the week before that was a 2-touchdown performance. The target volume has been sporadic. He's not had more than 8 since week 3. He's not been hyper efficient, which is not what we expect out of him anyway. What do you do with DK? He's got San Francisco next week. We've seen them play better defensively. Houston, and then the Rams, where we'll see Ramsey again.
I mean, it's like you said, the target's kind of lined out outside of this Monday night. He ran the most routes that he's ran all year on Monday.
Just 4
Didn't
targets.
line with his targets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which has been the lowest he's had.
Yep.
Lowest since week 7 when he hit 5, but he hasn't been a double-digit guy, right? You go back, last year, but again, Russ, this offense, horrible defense, it was even worse last year. The defense has improved. But he hasn't been that guy. He was double-digit targets twice in his rookie year.
No,
Again, last year with the increase in pass attempts, he was higher, but
here's the other thing, right? You go back to week 10 of last year, week 11 of last year, really, and 8 targets was his floor, essentially. 8 targets is his ceiling now. He had 1 game of 6 in there, but 8 targets was his floor. 8 targets is his ceiling now, and
maybe that's where he was, right? Pre-Russ injury, weeks 2, 3, 4, 11, 9, 8.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing. I'm not
I-
arguing DK Metcalf as a draft prospect, but if the offense is struggling and you're making a playoff push and redraft,
He's
how
on
do you
timeout
keep-
then.
Yeah, how
He's
do you
on
keep
timeout
him in
then.
there right now?
I get I'm not dropping him, right?
No, you're not dropping him.
That's where I'm at on this.
That was never the argument.
Okay.
Okay. No,
okay.
I was never saying do you drop him. What I'm saying is can you afford to keep starting him?
No, I think
wasn't
you
do
put him on the bench.
Yeah, it wasn't do you drop him. It wasn't, do you go out and sell low or anything like that? Because I don't think so. DK Metcalf is way too talented for that. And if this offense still has the firepower to click and you want to have that in your arsenal, but as you make this playoff push, I don't know that you can keep plugging him in while the offense is struggling. And you know what? You may eat a big number on your bench when that happens. But is that worse than eating a really, really low number right now when points are important for tiebreakers and wins are super important this late in the season?
Yeah. And the hope is, like you read off the upcoming opponents for him. Niners without Deebo Samuel. We'll see how that offense is clicking. You hope in that game where San Francisco is now producing at a high rate, especially, very efficient offense, high scoring offense. We know Deebo is a massive part of that. So we'll see how that game script, how that's supposed to fold out.
Yeah, we'll get to
and,
that.
When we get into the game preview, we'll talk about it.
Mhm.
But, Texans, Rams might be tough, and that's the beginning of the postseason.
98 yards and 2 touchdowns last time out against the Rams in a losing effort, but that was on only 5 targets. 100% catch rate to do it.
Yeah, massive. And that's been Metcalf's game. He's arguably he's very difficult to guard given his size and his pure athleticism. He's a downfield threat. Bears and Lions, though. At that point, you'd hope it would be turned around or it would look turned around starting this week, right? We have to we hope that the Washington game on Monday night was rock bottom for this offense. And I watched the last drive of Seattle. The offense looked fine. There were some mishaps. There was a misplay on the 2-point conversion. Whatever. That's what we hope to see is that Russ, his confidence is back.
Holy shit.
What's that?
Do you see this yards per target over the last 3 games on DK?
No.
3-2, 3-8, 3-2.
That's horrible.
They're not working him downfield at all.
No. And maybe that's a product of poor offensive line. they don't feel like Russ has afforded enough time, and again, that could be mixed. I mean, Russ's ability he is probably the best quarterback outside of Rodgers that can
under
evade
pressure
the pocket and under pressure and be able to make off-platform throws.
His sack rate is down. Let me go check the player profile on him and see what some of the pressure numbers are. 35th in protection rate. That's not particularly good, which we kind of anticipated.
Yeah.
9 drops. That's not great. Pressured completion percentage is 17th in the league. So middle of the pack there. Where's his? Don't they have a pressure rate on here? Or is it just protection rate? Either way, protection rate's pretty bad on him. But
things we're not obviously shocked by. We know that.
Right.
Seattle's, deficiencies is pretty well documented at this point. So, and Russ has been,
his pressured completion percentage is about where it was at last year. So, again, metrics look good. I just don't know. They're not working him downfield, which maybe Russ's protection rate looks better than that because that's how they're scheming it. But I mean, that is ugly, those last 3 games. And it's new, right? And Washington's pass rush was totally neutered. So, San Francisco may be another rough one. We'll talk about it in the game.
He's on the bench.
But he's on the bench this week.
We know that Seattle offense probably on the bench.
And then you hope it gets better from there.
Yeah. Yep.
Lockett's the other way around. Lockett's actually been producing on his lower number of targets, so I think you're fine with that. He's getting the downfield looks for whatever reason.
Mixing it up.
It's backwards.
Mixing it up. Yeah. Well, I mean, both players have been very efficient, great downfield work. I don't know where the offense is sputtering right now.
Not what Lockett's done recently. The other flip side of this, by the way, Tyler Lockett receiving yards per target over the last 3 games, 19 and 23. And then 2. But 19 and 23.
Yeah. Wait for Russ to get healthy.
Backwards, man.
Make it make sense.
McCaffrey to IR. We're going to talk about him here in a little bit, but just know he's on IR for the second time this year. His season's done.
Yeah.
Second disappointing year in a row for him. Chuba Hubbard will take over the backfield work there. Deebo Samuel to miss 1 to 2 weeks with a groin injury. It is considered mild, but they have no reason to try to push him right now. So,
well, they are in the midst of fighting for the wild card spots. Thank God for 3, I guess, in this case.
Yeah.
But groin injuries, regardless of it not, these soft tissues, and we know Deebo's history.
Yep.
So something to monitor.
Yeah, they were not overly concerned to start, but they sound like they're going to play it cautious with him. So 1 to 2 weeks there. Brandon Ayuk should take over more of some of that backfield work that Deebo normally gets, and I'd expect Kittle to get a little more involved in the passing game.
Yeah. Yep. You may, Trent Sherfield, not Trent Sherfield, I'm sorry, Juwan Jennings. Yeah. We'll see who takes play. We'll see how that offense operates.
Right.
It's what I'm
See, it's
most interested in.
Fortunate that Jalen Hurd is just always hurt, because Deebo getting hurt, and you look for a player with that same skill set, right? Hurd would be a perfect fit for.
Oh my God!
If something happened to Deebo.
Same size and ex-running back coming out of college.
Yeah, but just never healthy.
Yep.
Dalvin Cook, he's going to miss 1 to 2 weeks with a shoulder injury. Torn labrum again.
Yeah, this has been a problem for most of his football career dating back to college too. Yep. So we'll see.
So Madison will get the start, but Kene Nwangwu, the name you need to know. You should know it because of the return touchdowns. He's hyper athletic. Rookie, dealt with injuries in college, so there wasn't a lot of productivity there. Hyper athletic guy, very much like Jerick McKinnon. They will find ways to use him, I think.
Also, torn Achilles was that injury in college. Was one of the injuries in college.
Yep.
So it's I hope they find a way to use him more. Right.
Yep.
I've never been a big Madison fan, so I'm really hoping they find ways to get Kenny.
Perspective ad.
Yeah.
Darren Waller, week to week, IT band in his knee. He's doubtful for this week. Foster Moreau is his backup. Big ass red zone threat. Make it a little bit more out of Brian Edwards as well. We hope.
Probably not. At this point, who knows?
Yeah. DeAndre Swift is dealing with an AC joint injury. He is expected to miss this week, potentially. Jamal Williams is his backup and the only one worth knowing. And then Dan Arnold, the IR. James O'Shaughnessy got plugged. O'Shag Hennessy.
O'Shag Hennessy.
He got plugged in there at the end. And straight into the Dan Arnold role for targets. So just another name to know amongst the mess of tight ends.
That's right.
All right. So the next exercise I want to do. Talked about zero RB in the intro. Talked about zero RB on Twitter. So I want to look at the last couple of years of zero RB and compared to other positions, and let's see how it holds up. So we're going to pick 3 or 4 random years here and just take a look-see, shall we?
Let's do it.
I'm going to start with 2014 because that should be fun, right?
That should be fun.
And we're totally going to remember all of that. Now I'm going to pull player profiler over here to the other side. All right. In 2014, any guesses at who the first back taken was in PPR?
Oh my God, in 14?
Mm-hmm.
It was good then. It's been forever.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, LaShawn
LaShawn McCoy. Pretty solid season. He had 300 carries, 1,300 yards, 5 touchdowns, another 155 receiving. So pretty good year. I'm not sure where that puts him at, in terms of running back wise, but I don't think you're disappointed by that.
No.
All right. Your number 2 for the Kansas City Chiefs was Jamal Charles. And he was being drafted pretty much second. 2.7 was his ADP. So second, third pick, whatever. That was 2014. Jamal Charles in 2014. 1,000-yard season, 200 carries, played 15 games, 9 tutters, another 291 yards receiving on 40 receptions. So that's running back. It's a running back one.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson was your RB3. Filling the Derrick Henry role nicely. He was close to your 4th pick in 2014. That's the year he got hurt. So he had an injury.
Oh, is that the suspension year?
1 game. I think that's the injury year.
Was it? He played 1 game?
Yeah.
Then it had to be the injury year because he was suspended before the season started.
Yeah, it was the injury year. He had 1 game that year. So in his age 29 season. So your first real disappointment, I'm assuming, in this one. Your running back 4, going at 6. We'll go through the first, we'll call it the first 2 rounds worth of running backs. How about that?
Okay.
Was Eddie Lacy.
Oh, my God. Fat Eddie Lacy.
Fat Eddie Lacy in 2014. 249 rushes, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. 42 receptions for 400 yards. RB1. One of the RB would have been an RB1 easily. All right, so the first 4 guys, still in round 1, by the way.
He was suspended in 2014. Peterson was. That was the
suspension year.
That was the switch year with the kid. I looked it up.
Nice.
Looked up his injury history. It's very long, but I knew it was one of those years. Just wanted to make sure what it was.
Yeah. Matt Forte in 2014, 1,000 yards on the ground, 800 yards through the air, 100 targets, 102 receptions. Huge year for him. So far, we're through round 1 now, right?
Sure.
I don't see anybody there I'm disappointed with in 2014.
Obviously Peterson, but
Peterson was a suspension. So that's not injury or lack of anything. Now, this is where I start to think there is some truth to zero running back when you get down to this next set. So the RB6, here's a name for you. Monty Ball.
Oh my God. That'd be his rookie. That had to have been
Sophomore season.
Yeah, sophomore. That was after I think Northshawn Monroe left.
Well, he only played 2 seasons.
No, yeah. God, I forgot he played. Yeah, that's right, because he got Oof.
Just 55 rushes, 172 yards. Okay, so Monty Ball is the first person you're disappointed with. Injuries, only played a couple games. There's your volatility. Monty Ball was at the very end of the first round.
Okay.
Then you hit DeMarco Murray.
Great year in 2014. That was the dominant Dallas year.
It was indeed the dominant Dallas year.
He had 8 or 9 straight games at 100 yards plus.
392 rushes, 1,800 yards, 13 touchdowns, 57 receptions, 2,500 yards total. Yeah,
dominant.
That's still not bad, is it?
RB1 that year.
Yep. Marshawn Lynch was your RB8.
You would have been probably fine.
Yep.
I don't think he ever got hurt much.
Nope.
During his Seattle days.
2014, you were good. 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, 300 receiving yards. All right. So far, I'm not really seeing a good argument here for 0 RB in 2014. Well, the next two, how about that? I don't want to go too long-winded with this. 9 and 10, Giovanni Bernard and Doug Martin.
Gio would have been bad because Cincinnati never had any back-to-back. I don't know if he was bad. I know he got hurt because that was probably the Jeremy Hill
year. He had 1,000 scrimmage yards in 13 games. 680 on the ground, 5 touchdowns through the air, 300 yards on 43 receptions.
Oh, he was good. No, he was very serviceable.
He had 1,000 scrimmage yards being serviceable. Doug Martin.
That had to be bad Doug Martin then.
Yeah, because it was an even year. And it was.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's right.
You're disappointed with 2 of your top 10 there. Doug Martin, Monty Ball, Adrian Peterson from Volatility. 70% hit rate through your top 10. After that, you get to Andre Ellington. I don't know how that went. Arian Foster, Shane Vereen, Le'Veon Bell. Basically, the only other guy, well, Andre Ellington and Arian Foster are the only other 2 that sniffed the second round.
Lev Bell, I think that was the start of good Lev Bell.
Yeah. And Andre Ellington was very close to what Gio Bernard was. He was close to 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
So you're okay with that. And I think this was good Arian Foster year, too.
Maybe.
I think because it was Texans Arian Foster.
That was still Houston, so.
Yeah. 1,200 yards, 8 tutters. So yeah, you're good with that, right? And then some of the guys that were going later on, right? Let's go kind of that round 6 range where you want to start finding some of these guys. You had New York Jets, Chris Johnson, Bishop Sankey.
Oh God. Oh, Bishop Sankey. Oh, gross.
Danny Woodhead, which was okay. Las Vegas, Maurice Jones-Drew.
Oh, God, the later years of his career. Yeah.
Trent Richardson.
Oof. That's still Cleveland, right? Should be. Yeah, that's
that was Indy.
No, that's right. He left Cleveland already.
Yeah,
so he was already
Indy. Trent Richardson. Darren Sproles in Philly. Fred Jackson, Lamar Miller. Noshawn Moreno. Miami, Noshawn Moreno.
Noshawn, yeah, because he left, and that was where everybody was on Monty Ball.
Atlanta, Steven Jackson.
He was so good then.
Well, let's look. So
he had a couple of decent years, I thought.
In Atlanta, he did. So that was just okay. 700 yards. Yeah, about 800 scrimmage yards. It's just okay. So basically, what I take from that, right? What I take from that is your hit rate on running backs is a lot higher in that first round than it was late. You could find things late, but you weren't finding much. In comparison, the wide receivers that went in those first 2 rounds, I'm not going to check on all of them. We're just going to go from memory here. Hold on, I got to go back down there. Devontae Adams was not the wide receiver 1 in 2014.
Nope.
Calvin Johnson, Demaryius Thomas, Dez Bryant, A.J. Green were your first-round wide receivers. That all makes sense, right?
Yep, should be.
Okay. Julio Jones, Brandon Marshall, Antonio Brown, Jordy Nelson, Alshon Jeffrey, Randall Cobb, Keenan Allen, rounding out the first couple.
God, Randall Cobb, second-round pick.
But let's do this. Let's get down to round 3. Pierre Garçon in Washington.
Wow. Okay.
Larry Fitzgerald, Emmanuel Sanders in Denver, Victor Cruz. Can't remember if that was good Victor Cruz yet or
That
not.
that was after a good Victor Cruz because I think that was the start of his bad. That was the start of the injuries.
In 2014.
I think it's when it was. I think by that point he was coming. He was trying to battle back from injuries.
It was. Arizona, Michael Floyd. Seattle, Percy Harvin.
Oh boy.
Then
Michael
Julian
Floyd.
Edelman, Michael Crabtree in San Francisco, T.Y. Hilton during his breakout, Torrey Smith,
Luck, yeah.
Washington.
Torrey Smith was a 3rd-round pick? Oh, wait.
No, he wasn't a 3rd rounder. He was into the 5th.
Oh, God. I forgot just how the true volatility.
I think he had one. He had a couple really good years, though, didn't he?
He had flashes. He was
just
very,
700
very
yards.
volatile.
So, 2014 was such a different time because you're not finding a lot of value there late.
That was the boom of the rookie receivers, too.
Yeah.
That was the massive. I mean, there was a lot of. That was, thinking back on it, right? That was the Beckham blow up year because that was the year I drafted Peterson. At Peterson, I had Monty Ball, and I had traded for and ended up having Ray Rice. That was the year Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson had their massive suspensions. Obviously, Rice out of the league.
Some names you could have gotten late that year: DeAndre Hopkins, Sammy Watkins,
Yep,
Mike Evans.
rookie.
Yep.
That was Kelvin Benjamin was one of the better rookies that year.
Yep. Kelvin Benjamin was in there. Reggie Wayne, you could have gotten late. Golden Tate, Brandon Cooks, Wes Welker.
Wasn't drafted probably. Odell Beckham Jr.
Marcus
because
Colston.
he was hurt.
Yeah. The deepest this goes is Jermaine Kearse. Hey, Brian Hartline.
Yep. Odell Beckham was the Lord and
Cecil
Savior.
Shorts. So, I
Cecil
mean,
Shorts. Nice.
just drawing a conclusion there, right? Looking at some of these names, and this is more of a fun exercise, too. I'm hoping some people are going down memory lane through this as we talk. But you're not getting a lot of value later rounds then. So let's look at something more recent, right? Because 2014 is kind of a bad look. How about 2017? Let's go to our first year. One of the first times we really dove into zero RB, right?
I mean, I had done wide receiver heavy starts. This was before zero RB had really had a term.
Yep.
And now you have modified zero RB, you have hero RB. You have all sorts of terms to basically distinguish.
I like a modified zero RB, by the way. That's kind of where I sit. Give me one guy in the first couple rounds, and then I'll try to hit something late.
That's me with that. The same thing as like hero RB, where your first couple picks are, one of your first 2 picks is a running back.
Yeah.
You have a dominance, and that's how I drafted a lot this year.
All right, 2017.
Not good.
The running back 1, David Johnson.
Of course,
Not good.
Pre-wrist injury, hurt. Game 1 out for the year.
Yep, hurt game 1 out for the year. Okay, not great.
Nope.
RB2, Le'Veon Bell. That was fine.
That was his last good year, right? Because I thought 18 was
that was his last good year because 18 is the one he sat out with a contract dispute.
Yep.
So Le'Veon Bell had his last good year. We know Zeke was good that year. Devonta Freeman was your RB4. My high times have changed.
Yeah, that was riding off of the hyper efficient. I want to say that 17 was the downfall of Devonta Freeman. Or that it was a year before. I don't remember. It was one of those 2 years.
A year after was the downfall of Freeman.
Yeah, okay,
he was
after
okay. You wouldn't take him as the 4, but he was 1,200 scrimmage yards and 8 touchdowns.
That was when the efficiency dipped a
8
lot.
total touchdowns.
Yeah, you can tell the wear and tear really hit him.
Yeah, he also saw a big drop. Well, he missed 2 games, so carries were about the same. Efficiency was a little bit down as a runner, but it was still a solid season for him, but not somebody you'd take as the 4, right?
It's not first round good.
No, not first round good. Again, we'll do the first 2 rounds on this. LaShawn McCoy in Buffalo.
Jesus
That was
Christ.
the year he regrew his knee 3 times.
I can't. Oh my God.
LaShawn McCoy was good. So, you've got 1 miss because of injury, 1 miss because of ineffectiveness. Melvin Gordon.
He had to have been good still. That may have been one of his better years.
He's still good, but yeah.
He's still good. He's still pissing off Javonte Williams guys every week.
Nope, that was his statistically best year. It was the only year he cleared 1,000 rush yards. So you were good on Melvin Gordon.
He's done it once?
Yeah, only once on the ground.
Wow.
Who
would have thought?
Well, injuries, right? He's only played.
True.
He's only played 16 games once. He had a good year the year after, but missed 4 games. And was at 997 the year before when he got hurt and ended his season. So
that's right.
That's right. Only cleared it once. He really should have cleared it 3 times, 4 times if you count last year.
Where you look at it like a yards per game basis.
Game or
probably
2.
Be,
yeah. So yards per game, like not a big fall off. But
domination.
Yeah. The next one was a miss. I can almost guarantee the next one was a miss, I think.
Was it Eddie Lacy?
Jay Ajayi.
Oh my God, that was right because we kept pounding the table for people to not take him,
and that's when he went to Philly.
That was because that was right after that massive end of year stretch.
Yep,
when he had like 800 yards and it
was still all right.
Games.
1,000 scrimmage yards, but only 2 touchdowns. So you're probably disappointed with that. He was atop the 2nd round pick. Your running back 8 was DeMarco Murray.
Tennessee should be still.
That was Tennessee DeMarco Murray, yes.
Yep.
Last
year there, I think, too.
Yep, that was not good.
Who? Oh, DeMarcos?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yep.
He didn't have a good time in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Got worse in Philly.
Yep. You had Jordan Howard is the 9. He was going 204. Over 1,000 yards for Jordan Howard that year, 9 touchdowns. So you're not disappointed though. So far, you've missed. We got 1 more to go. Kareem Hunt in Kansas City. We know he was good. So
yes.
You've got David Johnson due to injury. Devonta Freeman was a miss. Jay Ajayi, DeMarco Murray. So your first misses are in the 2nd round that aren't injury related. You can't predict injuries. Jay Ajayi, DeMarco Murray. Then to round out your first 2 rounds was Todd Gurley. He was good that year.
That was dominant Gurley. That was year 1 dominant Gurley.
Yep. And then Christian McCaffrey. Awesome.
He was good down the stretch. Didn't score a lot of touchdowns, but he was over 100 targets.
Yes.
Oh, and then then you had that was the true running back renaissance was 17.
Yep. And then you go beyond that, you start to hit some higher misses, right? You had Fournette and Cook who you're fine with, but then there's Isaiah Crowell thrown in there.
Don't bring up Crowell.
Yeah.
Woof.
Lamar Miller, Joe Mixon was down in there. Bilal Powell.
Wow.
Doug Martin, C.J. Anderson. Meatball. C.J. Anderson I actually think was decent that year.
He was, yeah. I think, yeah. It had been because that was before the Gurley injury started to amount to. I think he was still fine with them.
C.J. was in Denver.
Yeah. That was before. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, over 1,000 yards for C.J. Anderson, so you're fine with that. And that's in the 5th round. So in the 5th round, you had C.J. Anderson, Amir Abdullah. It's hard to believe he ever went that high.
Where did Mark Ingram?
Mark Ingram was the 24th running back off the board at the end of the 5th.
What was Peterson? Because that was Peterson, New Orleans Saints here.
Yeah, Peterson was the 28th running back off the board, right behind Rob Kelly, right before Devin Coleman.
Where's Kamara?
Mike Gillislee.
Oh, fuck Gillislee. Where's Kamara taken? Or was he not on the or was he not drafted?
I think he was not drafted, but
because that was the I think Peterson lasted 4 games and he went to the Cardinals.
He did,
and had a slight had some boom left, and that was about it.
Kamara was the running back 51. He was behind Jeremy Hill, ahead of Marlon Mack.
He ended as the RB3.
Yep. So, I mean, that's a fine, but here's the other guys you're trying to pick through, right? And this is why I argue it, because the hit rate is so low down here, right? So this is why I argue against it. You get outside of the top 24 running backs, right? So the running back 24 was Mark Ingram. You get outside of that, your hit rate's pretty high. You have below that, get ready for some names. Danny Woodhead in Baltimore.
Injured. Yeah, he had one good year there.
Age 36 season.
God, 36. Good for him.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe these ages are right now. Yeah, these are right now ages.
Okay.
Mike Gillislee. Rob Kelly. Adrian Peterson.
Bad.
Tevin Coleman.
Bad.
Darren McFadden in Dallas.
Yeah, that was the end of his career.
Year before Zeke. That was
the Zeke. That wasn't the year before. That was the Zeke suspension year.
Oh yeah.
Zeke was 2016 draft class. So that was I think Zeke had, that was when people didn't know when Zeke was going to get suspended. And Zeke was being pushed to the third round, I thought, was that year.
Oh yeah. 2017?
Yeah. That had to be that year.
Darren McFadden played one game.
Yeah. Because Zeke never got suspended till like week 10.
Yeah. Derrick Henry, Theo Riddick, Paul Perkins, Frank Gore, Terrence West, LeGarrette Blount, Duke Johnson, Thomas Rawls, Jacuzzi Rogers, Jonathan Stewart, and now I'm down into the 10th round. Or no, I'm not down to the 10th round. Sorry, we'll take it to the 10th round. How about that? Round 6 through 10. James White, who you're fine with, Eddie Lacy in Seattle, Rex Burkhead, Jamal Williams in Green Bay, Darren Sproles. That was when you didn't know if it was going to be Jamal Williams or Aaron Jones because they're both rookies.
Yep.
Darren Sproles, Jamal Charles in Denver, Samaje Perine, CJ Procise, Matt Forte in the Jets, Jeremy Hill. So there are definitely things in 2017 you could have hit on, but your success rate was much higher in the draft. Meanwhile, so your top 24 backs, they died at the ADP of 57.
I think zero RB had one guy that year. And guys, remember zero RB, it's predicated on punting running back, and then you have to play the waiver perfectly.
Yep. So
you have to.
Yep. So your 12th running back went at the end of the second round, right?
Yep.
Okay. So wide receivers in that same range. Before the end of the second round. There are only 7. No, there weren't. Sorry. I forget. This keeps refreshing. Wide receivers before the end of the second round. There are a little more than that.
Should be.
Yep. Antonio Brown.
He was good that
before
year.
He went off the deep end. Julio Jones. Odell Beckham.
That was injury. It took his year that year.
Yep. Mike Evans. AJ Green. Jordy Nelson. Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks, Des Bryant, Amari Cooper, Doug Baldwin, Keenan Allen. Pretty sure that's 100% hit rate.
A lot of them were. I think that would have been Mike Evans' low touchdown year.
Yeah. So, but here's the other thing, right? Oh, there's Martavis Bryant. Remember him?
Oh, my God.
But here's the other thing, right? Let's get down to that range where you're trying to find zero RB, because that's where the hit rate's going to matter more with how you play this. You're always going to hit near the top.
Yeah.
So down to the range where you're trying to pick out zero RB, right? Those rounds 5 through 10, basically. So you had Larry Fitzgerald, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Parker, Allen Robinson.
Good still?
Jacksonville.
No, not at the end of his. That's right, because 18 was when he went to Chicago. I think 17 is when he tore his ACL. No, that was Chicago year 1, right?
Nope, 17 was the ACL tear.
Okay.
So Allen Robinson, Jamison Crowder, breakout year.
Okay, breakout year, okay.
Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, he's always serviceable.
The Giants, Brandon Marshall. I forgot about that.
Wait, he really?
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
It says New York Giants. That might be a typo.
That's gotta. He never played with the.
No, that had to have been.
It had to be the Jets.
Jets.
Had to be the Jets. I maybe he did. I'm gonna pull this up.
It is the New York Giants.
Oh, wow, they had to be like
5 receptions or 15 games. He had 33 targets, 154 yards.
wow.
He played for Seattle too.
He did. That was his final team.
Yep.
God, he was bad.
But anyway,
Jesus.
so your hits there though, right? Stephon Diggs was a hit. Larry Fitzgerald would have been a hit. Jamison Crowder, Jarvis Landry would have been hits. I don't remember San Francisco Pierre Garcon.
I don't think it was good because that was.
Remember
They were bad.
Remember
They were
Rams,
bad that year.
Sammy Watkins?
I did. I do. Cooper Kupp, great that year. That was that was the glimpse of the
Yeah.
McVay era.
Yep. You also had
Robert Woods there too.
Yeah, Robert Woods was there. But some other guys. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders was down in that range. Willie Snead had a big year that year, I'm pretty sure.
Was that Saints Willie Snead?
Yeah.
And Broncos Emmanuel Sanders?
And Broncos Emmanuel Sanders, yeah.
Okay.
So your hit rate, yeah, is, well, 8 games, 500 yards for Garcon. So when he was healthy, he was fine.
Kind of. I don't know if that's a hit.
Yeah. Randall Cobb last year in Green Bay. You had Adam Thielen down there.
That'd have been, I think that was second half breakout Thielen.
Yeah. Marvin Jones was solid. John Brown, Corey Davis, first year in Tennessee. Not great, but Cooper Kupp is down there as your 50th wide receiver off the board. You play your rookies right. So your hit rate on wide receiver in that range, a lot higher. Okay, I want to look at 2 more years and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Let's look at 2020. You want to do 2019 or 2020?
Let's do 19.
All right, 2019. Top 2 rounds of running backs really quick because this is fresh in our memory and we should be okay to do that.
Okay.
2019 was just yesterday, right?
Pretty much.
Saquon Barkley.
Great. He was, yeah, that was year 1.
He was the
That was
RB1.
That was after year 1 Barkley. Yeah, he was so good that year.
Yep. Alvin
That was after Mark Ingram left, so
good.
lots of touchdowns. He was good that year. Not touchdowns, but he had a lot of production.
Christian McCaffrey.
Dominant. That was RB1 McCaffrey.
Zeke Elliott, very good. James Conner, banged up.
That must have been last year Pittsburgh. Yeah, that was last year in Pittsburgh.
So
right?
the first,
that was, never mind.
First 4 were good. Then you had a dumpster fire. James Conner, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell with the Jets.
Oh, God, and Lev Bell.
Yep. But then you start to come around again. Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook. Todd Gurley was all right.
Was that year 1 Atlanta?
No, that was last year L.A. when the knee injuries started biting him second half.
Yeah.
But he still had volume. Joe Mixon beat up Leonard Fournette, Damian Williams. So starting to make a little bit more sense here, right? As we grow up. So Damian Williams was the end of your second round. So let's drop down now to pick 48. So the end of the 4th round. Down there, Phillip Lindsay. Breakout year, first year. Miles Sanders, Austin Eckler, Darius Geis, Lamar Miller, Tariq Cohen, Latavius Murray, Kenyon Drake, solid year. Pollard, Singletary, Matt Breida, Darwin Thompson, LaShawn McCoy. So really, again, right, not a high hit rate down low. You don't have a lot of hits in 2019 on running backs that you feel great about, actually. Maybe in the middle rounds where you have Aaron Jones who put up a boatload of touchdowns and Chris Carson. These are down in round 3. Josh Jacobs, first year in Vegas. Mark Ingram's blow-up year in Baltimore was in the middle of round 4. Melvin Gordon's last year at the Chargers you were fine with. Derrick Henry, his blow-up year down there in round 4. So, I mean, you still didn't want to wait until late rounds on a running back here. You wanted to get your guys in the first 4 rounds. Meanwhile, the wide receiver front, right, your other key cogs, Your top end's fine, but let's go look at what you could have gotten in the later rounds at wide receiver if you went running back heavy first. Tyler Lockett. Nope, sorry, that's this year.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Let's go.
Starting
Fire
at
him off.
ADP 47-1. Kenny Golladay, Detroit.
Okay.
T.Y. Hilton.
Ooh, that'd have been bad.
2019 T.Y. Hilton.
Was that with? Because that was after Luck retired, right?
No.
Was that the Brissett?
That was.
Or that the year before?
That was the Brissett year. So yes,
he was okay.
He would have been all right. He was hurt. That was the year Luck retired. So
okay.
T.Y. Hilton, Tyler Boyd. Good.
Yep.
Calvin Ridley.
He had 10 touchdowns. I mean, he was very touchdown dependent, but decent. That was it's year 2.
Skipped over Josh Gordon there. AJ Green. Jarvis Landry again. First string Cleveland. DJ Moore. Robbie Anderson. Alshon Jeffrey. Allen Robinson. Denver Manny Sanders again. Will Fuller. Christian Kirk. Sterling Shepard. Valdez Scantling.
God, Jesus.
Pettis Davis. It's all rough down there, right?
That is brutal.
All right, let's look at this year. All right, ready?
This going to be bad.
This is very running back dependent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. McCaffrey's hurt. Cook is currently hurt for a couple weeks. Kamara's missed 3 weeks hurt. Zeke Elliott,
good.
Probably going to be fine. That's your RB4. Derrick Henry's hurt. Austin Eckler, very good. Aaron Jones has fallen off of a cliff. So you got one guy up there right now that hasn't killed you at some point this season. But overall, when you look back on this, you're not going to be disappointed that Dalvin Cook missed 2 weeks, right?
I mean, Derrick Henry was the best running back arguably in football.
Until he got hurt. Yeah.
So
Nick
I'm
Chubb,
definitely not mad about that.
Nick Chubb has dealt with injuries.
Yeah.
Najee Harris has been fine, but definitely not worth into the first round like we all predicted he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley beat up. Jonathan Taylor's been the best back in football. He was the 2-1.
Can't believe people faded him.
I can't believe people are parading around touting a victory for 0 RB when we just looked at scattered seasons over the last 6 years, and there has never been an injury season like this to running backs.
Just in general, too, and it's all over the place. I mean, it feels like we're losing people left and right. Running backs, receivers, quarterbacks.
Just to running backs. Antonio Gibson's missed time hurt. So Joe Mixon, your next best guy, at 19-4. So he's going towards the back end of the second.
Yep.
Edwards-Helaire's missed time. Dave Montgomery's missed time. James Robinson has missed time. Chris Carson is missing time. Josh Jacobs has been pretty meh. DeAndre...
He's come apart, though.
Yeah.
I gotta give it up to Jacobs.
He's doing fine.
The Raiders are actually getting him involved in the passing game, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And
it took him until year 3.
And you know what, though? He was a back of the third round pick. DeAndre Swift, back to the third round. Then Miles Sanders, missed time hurt. Miles Gaskin, starting to come on a little bit, but very sporadic.
It was ugly to start the year. It was very ugly. Yes.
Mike Davis, nothing going. Gus Edwards, missed time hurt. Darrell Williams, not been great. Javonte Williams, splitting time. Damian Harris has been good. So this is the one year you can look at, and this is the opportunistic thing, and say 0 RB this year made sense. Because almost everybody taken in the first...
This is like 0 whatever year. Because you look at because wide receivers is the same way, right?
We're about to.
Hopkins, Ridley. Yeah. It's rough too.
But 18. The majority of your top 17 guys, have missed time. The only 3 people, in that top 17 that have not missed 4 of top 17 have not missed time. Zeke Elliott,
who he might miss this week, but I don't think he will.
Austin Eckler missed a little bit of time.
1 game, I think.
Yeah. So Zeke, Eckler, Najee, Taylor, Mixon. 33% of those guys have not missed time. There's not been another year like that. If I go back to 2020, you know how many of the top guys missed time? McCaffrey and Barkley. That's it. End of list.
And Cook, missed the final 2 games of the year?
Yeah, 2 games is just something it's a thing.
For running backs, it's almost like
it wasn't good, but 2018, year we didn't look at. Todd Gurley was the RB1. He missed time. Left Bell, obviously contract dispute. David Johnson missed time. Then Zeke, Kamara, Barkley.
Good.
Good. Fournette was fine. Melvin Gordon was good. Kareem Hunt, that was the year.
He ended up going to Cleveland. He played half the year, dominant half the year. Video came out and was gone for the rest of the year. I think he played 11 games that year.
Yep. Dalvin Cook was good. Jordan Howard in Chicago.
That was the final year. He was bad.
Yeah, he was bad. Joe Mixon injured. Anyway, you've not had an injury season like this with that many guys. All right, so now the other argument, right? It's happening everywhere. Let's look at that. Wide receivers for this year. Devontae Adams healthy. Tyreek Hill healthy.
Adams missed a few games.
Well, relatively healthy. I think he missed two.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill healthy. Stephon Diggs healthy. Hopkins has missed time. Calvin Ridley, no one could have seen that coming.
Nope.
DK Metcalf ineffective right now.
Yep.
Jefferson's been good. AJ Brown's hurt. So injury's not nearly as prominent here, right?
Sure.
But Keenan Allen, healthy. Terry McLaurin, healthy. CeeDee Lamb missed 1 game due to a concussion. Allen Robinson has been missing time. Robert Woods missing time. Mike Evans healthy. Amari Cooper missed 1 game due to COVID.
He's missing this game too.
He traveled with them. Game time decision.
Yeah, he's going to play.
Cooper Kupp healthy. Deontay Johnson healthy. Chris Godwin healthy. Tyler Lockett healthy. Through the first 4 rounds. This is why the 0 running back guys are doing laps. But here, let's rain on their parade a little bit, right? What wide receivers could I have gotten in that 0 RB range?
I know Cooper Kupp's one of them.
Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, Brandon Ayuk, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, Chase Claypool, Antonio Brown, who's been hurt.
Yeah.
Let's see. Devonta Smith was down there. Juju before he got hurt. Cortland Sutton's down there. He had some good weeks. Jamar Chase is down here. Deebo Samuel's down here. Michael Pittman's down here. Jalen Waddle's down here. Jacoby Myers is down here. Darnell Mooney is starting to come along. Elijah Moore. Doesn't really seem like 0 RB would have been the be-all, end-all of this, right? It sounds like that if I'd gone high-end RB and taken my wide receivers in that range, that I'm still perfectly okay. This really was a year where you just waited until later, right? Because the variance in wide receivers, it's not so much that wide receivers are hurt, it's that it's deep, and that's what we said coming into this year, right?
Oh, yeah.
We touted that you go running back early because of how deep wide receiver was, and because 6 people get hurt, that's not wrong.
It's been a year that I joked about that you go 0 draft picks till round 6.
For sure.
Because I mean, yes, with injuries, it's all about dodging landmines at this point. That's all it's really been. So it's been a rough year. It's been fun. Some people are just.
That's a long-winded way to say it's bullshit to victory lap 0 RB because you get one obscure season where 15 of the top running backs have been hurt. It's something.
0 RB's always been bullshit. And we're about to get into another potential renaissance of running backs too with the upcoming classes and what we've seen through, from 2020 and some of these other guys aging out. So you might start to see a little trend back to more RB heavy again as
like most
wide receivers remain very, very deep, and they should as the league's passing more and running backs coming in. There's some influx of hopefully very young, good talent.
Yep. Like most things, moderation is good, right? I like modified 0 RB. I like balance. I don't want to go heavy anything, but I'll go RB early just to ensure I get a difference maker.
I like to make sure I get a guy that I feel confident is going to get
Yeah, a guy that can carry
275, 300 plus touches.
Guy that can carry your team week on any given week. If you have a dud, not a bad thing.
Yeah, a guy who catches passes. All right, let's go to a beer review because I've been sitting on this last sip.
We'll go to a beer review, and then I want to do a really quick up, down, or neutral.
Okay.
One-word reviews on these guys.
Okay.
Beer review.
All right, like you, I've also been sitting on this last sip, so I'll start. I had the Sicario Pina from Three Floyds. It's a Brett, so a little funky to this. Pineapple's kind of falling off of it. Don't get a whole lot of that there. Barrel age gives some nice tannin towards the back end of it. Really helps to balance out some of the sour up front. It is very sour up front, though. I don't get a boatload of the Brett funkiness towards the back. It's there a little bit. I think mostly, though, the fact that this is musket barrel age, it helps balance out the sour a little bit. It's unique. It's a unique beer. It's a good beer. I'm happy it was recommended to me. I don't have a whole lot else to say about that. It's unique is what you'd expect from the style, and it definitely comes through unique. It's got good balance. It was pretty easy to drink. A little more sour than I like to drink because, heartburn, and I don't have Tums down here. But other than that, pretty good.
I get you. All right. Again, as far as Stone Walker's Cinnamon Dolce, this is their cinnamon vanilla nitro stout. Cinnamon's a pretty dominant flavored, very dominant spice in beers. So it will linger through from the nose to the mouth, to the first sip to the aftertaste. Vanilla helps to really soften it up. Already it being a nitro, so you are foregoing a carbonation for more of a creamy and decent mouthfeel. I know you had to do your bourbon too, but I want to get this in.
No, I was just holding up the Weagland. I don't plan on doing this for a little bit. I need to savor it for a minute.
Okay, I was gonna say you haven't even had any yet. That's right.
I just poured it.
So I mean, if you like cinnamon, this is very much in style for this time of year, right? A lot of Mexican style, which offers a lot of cinnamon. True Mexican styles will bring in peppers to it, but it's a lot of those Christmas spices like cinnamon. So if you like cinnamon beers, I think this is definitely worth the shot to get. Again, because it's nitro, don't forget the heart pour. Otherwise, it will not be the best.
Okay. That is interesting. I'm going to see what that does for a second. Remember, I am tasting this full blind, so I have no idea what I'm drinking on the bourbon front. So we'll get to that after this segment. So real quick, we'll run through and do some dynasty value checks. We're not going to debate necessarily. If you want to give your analysis justification, give it like a sentence. We're each going to go through these guys and just say if we think their value's up, it's down, or it's neutral to where it was going into the season.
Okay.
For dynasty. All right, Saquon Barkley.
Down.
Yeah.
I mean, he's injuries. And he's getting older.
And the explosiveness seems to be zapped when he's on the field. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, obviously down.
Yeah. Just a second injury riddled year for him, too. Unlike Barkley, the explosiveness and the productivity still seems to be there, but just injuries again.
It's a bye.
Yeah. So. Allen Robinson.
Murdered. Yeah. I think he's done.
Yeah, it's down. Calvin Ridley.
I mean, it's
hard.
I don't think he's the same. It's probably slightly ticked down, but that might be because of some of the receivers who might be leapfrogging him.
Also, the uncertainty of his future.
Too.
There's some assumptions. I don't want to assume anything, but we just don't know. So
yeah, exactly.
Aaron Jones.
Oof. So low.
So down.
Yeah.
I'd say down too. Touchdown efficiency is really in the shitter for him.
I mean, what's his career gonna? I mean, he got re-signed, but AJ Dillon.
Yep.
better version than him right now in their careers.
Jalen Waddle.
Woo! Flying up high.
Very much up for me, too.
Like to see his role expand to more deep threat, but we'll see how that turns out moving
Target volume's there. They're using him. Efficiency's good. He's productive. Year one.
Yep. Love it.
Mac Jones.
You got to love, I mean, it's high. He's growing. He's the best rookie quarterback this year, both fantasy and real life.
He's playing at his upside. Doesn't mean there's not more there, right? But we always thought the upside was Matt Ryan for the most part. I'd say it's slightly up, but not as steep as like a Waddle.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we're waiting for more Pete Kirk Cousins. I don't know if he'll get there. It's the Patriots and how their offense runs.
No, just he looks good though for what they're doing. He's an NFL player, exactly what we thought he would be, right? For an NFL player, he looks great. For a fantasy player, he looks kind of meh.
He's a QB2.
Yeah.
Through and through.
Zach Wilson.
Buddy, he might be. He's down pretty low.
He's down pretty low. Miles Sanders. This is just to get back at you for what I knew you'd say about Zach Wilson.
He's also down pretty goddamn low.
Yep. Antonio Gibson.
I think neutral. I think he's a true neutral.
He's continuing to do what he does.
Hopefully he can be a little more durable.
Yep. J.K. Dobbins.
I mean, low off ACL tear.
And hasn't shown anything yet. Just flashes, right? So.
Yeah, we don't know what RB1 on the offense Dobbins looks like. Yep.
Joe Mixon.
Rising up, man. Healthy on a good team.
I agree, it's up. Deontay Johnson. Somebody I'll talk glowingly about later this year.
He is very much on the rise. I'm very glad I was able to get him in one league.
He's very much up for me, too. He's fixed the drops issue and looks like the real deal.
No drops this year for him, by the way.
Yep. A.J. Brown.
Neutral. You can't blame him on this year.
No.
Too many injuries, and then his also himself. Offense sputtering.
Derrick Henry.
I think it's low, man. First major injury, bigger guy with a foot injury have always scared me because of my basketball roots. So
older too.
Older, he's 28.
Yep. Slightly down, not super down.
No, slightly down is a better way.
It was a break, not a Liz Frank or anything like that. So,
just good.
DJ Moore.
Neutral.
Terrence Marshall Jr.
He looks like the next Denzel Mims. He's on the downtrend to oblivion.
Elijah Moore.
Upturn, man. Just hope that Zach Wilson doesn't kill his production.
Yeah, he's shown he can do it. Rondale Moore.
It'll be neutral.
I'd say slightly down because I think there was an expectation that both him and Elijah produced with relative consistency year one and found ways to get involved, and we saw it from Rondale early, but the flashes haven't been there since.
I think I'd say neutral because they're gonna lose both Kurt and Green. So next year, that's why I think you'll see his uptick in value in the offseason.
Michael Thomas.
I think he's low. He's on a new team next year.
If you play, yeah, I think it's
big slot though. I mean,
he's on the Antonio Brown career trajectory.
Yeah, which
not
so
good.
He's going to be living with Tom Brady soon.
Leonard Fournette.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Age, I mean, I like where he's at, but
Dynasty, it's neutral. Short term, I think it was up.
Yeah. Oh, short term is definitely up.
Short term was up, but as a long term asset, it's neutral.
Yep.
Javonte Williams.
People are too high. Saw a poll. He was the 4th ranked on this poll that featured all the top running backs. Very concerned about it. He's already peaked at the ceiling, but I mean he is going up.
It's neutral for me. I think Javonte Williams is about what we expected him to be this year when he landed in Denver coming into the season, which was a kind of a split role with Melvin Gordon. I think the best you could have hoped for was that he took over the backfield. Hasn't really managed to eat into Gordon's touches, so he's neutral for me.
He's met expectations, but obviously we know how that's going to look like as Denver shakes up next year.
Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, my God. neutral. I think people are just kind of waiting to see what Denver does with the QB situation with some of the news, but I still think it's neutral.
Cortland Sutton given his new contract.
I think people are a little down because he's not entering with the new team, but I'd say it's still neutral. You're not as excited because you hope that he'd get onto a roster that wants to throw more, but yeah, anyways.
Patrick Mahomes.
If anyone's low on him, they're doing it wrong. Should be neutral.
Justin Herbert.
Neutral. Expectations, maybe some, sophomore year. A lot like Baker, a lot riding on him. Maybe a little too much.
He's still been good this year, though.
He's been very good. He's been good. I think that bad stretch in the middle part of the season is what people are looking at too.
Yeah. No, little bump in the road, but not a full sophomore slump at all.
Yep, exactly.
Deebo Samuel.
Oh, gotta be on the rise. Just gotta hope he stays healthy. You gotta hope his groin thing isn't serious.
I don't think it is, but yeah, he's been good.
I think just been good is a bit. It's a bit underselling how dominant he's been.
He is everything you wanted AJ Brown to be.
No, he's everything you wanted healthy Christian McCaffrey to be this year. That's how good he's been as a runner.
Yeah,
he just doesn't. It's not his role.
Nope.
He's basically LaVisca. He's everything you wanted LaVisca to be.
Yeah, or he's a giant Tavon Austin.
Yeah, he's size worthy receiver who is actually good.
Yep. Brandon Ayuk, and this is kind of a tricky one.
I think it was low to now neutral.
I think
he's been their leading receiver.
So I think it's weird, and here's why I say it's weird, right?
I know it's very it's different.
It's down. His dynasty value's down, but not because of anything he did. He's actually showing what I think he needed to show. So it's kind of up from where I had him valued, but it's down from where I think the community had him valued.
I think he's more neutral.
I think he's where he should be right now.
Yeah, which obviously, about as neutral. He is about as neutral can get. So I think he has finally reemerged to where people want him to be. And that maybe in part because of Debo.
But I think the slow start through some cold water.
Oh, through a lot. I mean, people were
way high on him.
People were very concerned. Most people didn't sell. If you were high, you didn't sell because you just had to ride the wave because you weren't going to sell low on your favorite guy. But it's definitely been a nice turnaround for him so far.
And DK Metcalf.
I still think it's neutral, but there is some concerns. I can definitely see where the low concerns can come from.
Or revisited into here. Russell Wilson.
He should be neutral. People are going to be low. He is a screaming buy at super flex leagues. All right. He's 33 years old, people.
This bourbon review before we get into the final go.
Let's do it.
All right, couple things we look at. Do I think it's a rye or a bourbon? I think it's a bourbon for the most part. But I think it's a high rye bourbon. Proof-wise, I'm going to go with this is over 120 proof. It's very warm.
Ooh, barrel proof.
So high rye bourbon, over 120 proof. Age-wise, it's got good depth, but I don't think it's super aged. I'm going to go the 6 to 8 year range probably with this.
Okay.
On the nose is where I get a lot of the rye notes. I got a lot of peppermint and also like milk chocolate. I get a lot of mint and a lot of milk chocolate. There are some fruit notes underneath of that. A lot of baking spice to this, a lot of peppery spice to this, and the proof comes through really, really hot on the back end. It's not young because there's a lot of depth over it, but it is very hot on the way down.
I'm just thinking Larceny's barrel proof.
So... yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, Larceny is weeded, so that's my only thing that takes me off of Larceny is that with it being weeded, I wouldn't expect some of the like peppermint, tea, rye type notes out of it and spices to come out of it like it is. I wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong about bourbon or rye, or this came through as like a Michter's barrel proof rye. Because this is top shelf calendar, so that's the other thing I do know is that these bottles should all be these bottles should secondary all be above $75. It could be a Booker's batch, but I don't know. The rye content in this compared to what else it is like something I haven't really tasted before. So let's go take a look. And let me see what it is. So I have to go to a website for this under events. This is going to be the Illinois Top Shelf Calendar. Stag Junior, batch 15.
Oh, you're right on bourbon. Stag Junior though?
Yeah.
Oh, nice person.
Well, like I said, this is
that is not a cheap bottle.
I know what I put in this one, right? So, I mean, these are not cheap bottles. This is designed to be the higher end stuff. That's why it's a Patreon one. That makes sense. 8 years minimum and 131.1 proof. So,
spot on. Yeah. Proof, age.
Black pepper. I don't know what mash bill this is. Hold on. Let me see if I can figure out what the rye content is. So this is, I think it's Buffalo Trace number 2 mash bill. Mash bill number 1, which is Buffalo Trace says they use, by the way. They call them out by number. So mash bill number 1 is the low rye mash bill, 10%. So the black pepper just really comes out on this, I guess.
Guess so.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I got a lot more rye off of this than I probably normally would. Either way, if you can get your hands on one, they do. I think it's yearly releases on this. Might be twice yearly releases on this. It is rather difficult to find. They did just draft the junior off of it to just stag.
Yeah.
It is very high proof. I mean, 131 is the second highest proof bourbon I've ever drank. So, well, third. But good. Very deep. Very unique. Really hot.
Really hot?
Really hot. All right. Cowboy, take me away.
Cowboy, take me away. All right. Well, I got everything fucking up now. Cowboys at the Saints. Cowboys are 4.5-point favorites on the road. 47.5 is the over/under. Dallas has been kind of sputtering in terms of against the spread line. Started off hot at 9-0. They've gone 1-3 since. 0-2 for spread. They're 0-2 as favorites during this 4-game span. Or sorry, 1-2 as favorites during this 4-game span. I like Dallas to cover this game. You get Amari Cooper back. Hopefully you have CeeDee Lamb ready to go. Not a true untrue short week as both teams played last Thursday and Thanksgiving, but the Saints have been also just been flat out bad in general. Taysom Hill is supposed to get the start now. I'm not touching the over-under. Dallas's defense is very, very much boom bust, and we don't know what the Saints are going to look like. Expect a slow-down game. So Dallas to cover, and if I'm betting the game total, I'm leaning the under.
Yep. And looking at this from a fantasy perspective, Dallas, you can expect floor out of most of their guys. I don't think you're going to sit any of them, but the Saints defense has been decent, especially their run defense. So going to lean a bit more towards the floor on those guys. I am probably going to lean away from, I know Gallup had a big week last week. You can play him if CD doesn't play. You'll be watching up until game time if Cooper doesn't play. So you'll be watching up until game time on Cooper. If he doesn't play, then you're okay with Gallup. If he does play, I would keep Gallup on your bench. Expect floors out of Cooper, CD, Schultz, Zeke, the like. On the Saints side of it, you're going to start whatever back is starting. Kamara will also be a game time decision, so keep an eye on that. You're gonna really pay attention to your Thursday night ins outs tomorrow afternoon. So if Kamara plays, you play him. Like you said, Dan, Cowboys defense is very spotty. They're hit or miss. Their biggest asset is being able to take away the football, not so much being able to stop it. So
very strong pass rush, but I mean,
yeah,
the Saints with Taysom Hill, you have to expect.
Yep.
Not a lot of passing and trying to slow the game down to keep Dallas off the field.
And that is the flip side of it, too. We did see Alvin Kamara's floor kind of bottom out when Taysom Hill was at quarterback. So that's the other thing to be aware of here. You expect it to be low scoring. I completely agree with that, and I expect it to be low scoring from a fantasy perspective. Problem is you got a lot of superstars in this one, too, that are very hard to sit, so I don't think you should. You're going to need to find your upside elsewhere when you're constructing your lineups this week.
Yeah, that's not a game I would be excited to try to target. So.
No, I wouldn't be either.
Vikings at the Lions. Vikings are 7-point favorites on the road. 46.5 is the game total. No Dalvin Cook, potentially no DeAndre Swift. He should be put on IR and just kept down there for the rest of the year. No need for him to come back.
Hold on, you shut your whore mouth.
I know, I'm sorry, but
I have a lot of DeAndre Swift exposure.
So do I.
Yeah, but I'm also on the bubble of a lot of playoffs.
Well, I hope he doesn't for the sake of both of our teams. I just, from an actual fan standpoint, they should just set him. Anyways, Vikings have yet to cover a game when they're 1-3 or 1-3 as favorites this year. 1-1 as away favorites. Haven't covered a game over 2.5 in the last 10 games. Detroit has covered 3 in a row. They've obviously been dogs every game this year. 7-4 on the season, which is actually pretty impressive for a team that sucks this bad. Defense, though. Chicago held to 16. Browns held to 13. Tied Pittsburgh at 16. Obviously, the game against Philly was rough. Rams with 28, and they were productive in that game, or they were definitely competitive in that game. Last time against Minnesota, it took a game-winning field goal of, I believe, 54, 55 yards for Minnesota to win that game. Did not cover. Detroit +7 feels like the right answer. I'm probably just going to stay away from the spread. If Swift is the miss, I just don't trust this offense at all. And 46.5 feels like a gift because I think this game goes under. Game totals for the last 3 games for Detroit have all been 32 or under. So, yeah.
All right, flipping this one around, it's Detroit versus Minnesota. So you're going to start everything from Minnesota.
Yes.
And the only thing you want to start from Detroit is Jamal Williams because there's likely to be no DeAndre Swift. So
Hawk too, but
Hawk
may be apt to asked to block more.
But tight ends aren't real.
It's true.
But
they're just a myth.
He may be out on more routes actually, given the Everson Griffin mental health issues and
true.
Hunter on IR. I mean, Vikings pass rush is not at full strength. So
still very good, but you're absolutely right. Hawk should, and then with no Swift, they need to also add in another short A-dot type of pass catcher for Goff to check down to.
And he's their best weapon. So
yeah,
it's Williams and Hawk and what would normally be a plus matchup, but it's the Lions, so plus matchups don't exist for them.
Cardinals at the Bears. Cardinals are 7.5-point favorites on the road. 45.5 of the game total. The return of Kyler Murray after 3 games missed plus the bye week.
Most likely
going to play. I think this is what their entire plan was to wait until the bye.
I think so.
Yeah. For that being said, Arizona 6-0 as the away team against the spread this year. 1-0 as the away team favorites. I like them to cover. The Bears should be Justin Fields. I think that's still up in the air whether or not Fields is going to play.
Yep. He returned to practice, but he was limited, so they may give him another week.
Yeah, I think this is return the form for the 3-game stretch of Colt McCoy. Now get back. Probably no Hopkins, so won't stop the Cardinals from doing what they're doing. I like them to cover 7.5.
Hopkins still not practicing?
Yeah, I think that was what the tag was. I don't think he's going to play. I think they're just going to wait until they feel like he's completely ready.
Yeah.
45.5. Yeah. I like this game to go over. It might be the Cardinals doing most of the heavy lifting, but Cardinals cover 7.5 and lean the over, we'll say.
So Hopkins returned to practice.
In limited or full?
Wait, hold on.
I don't think it really
Yeah, it's
matters.
from December 1st. He returned to practice.
Okay.
He missed the last 4 games. Has a chance.
Maybe
to
it's
suit up
like
this
Murray.
Week.
Maybe it's like Murray.
Could make the return against the Bears. Hopkins could be limited even if he goes. So, but you should be back. It looks like.
Yeah.
So, both going to be game time decisions technically. If they play, you start him and Christian Kirk in this one as well. We're kind of done with the. Is it Christian Kirk? Is it AJ Green? Is it Rondale Moore? Christian Kirk's the second pass catcher here for the Cardinals. So
Kirk and Connor too.
Yeah, and James Conner is the other guy that you're going to play. Bears defense is not scaring anybody. The Bears side, you've gotten big games out of Darnell Mooney, especially with Andy Dalton last week. Even if Robinson plays, Mooney right now is the most reliable pass catcher with a ton of upside. So, you're going to ride Darnell Mooney there and Dave Montgomery. That's about it.
Bucks at the Falcons. Bucks are 11-point favorites on the road. 50.5 is the game total. Last time out, this was a shootout. Bucks won 48-25 when they were at home against Atlanta. Easily covered the 13 points. I think they'll cover this year. It's been a little bit tough for them, but I'll take, even at double-digit points, I'll take Tampa. During that Atlanta game, they still had Ridley. That was before the Ridley departure. I'll take Tampa at 7, or I'll take Tampa at -11 at over/under wise. Look, Atlanta has not been scoring points. 21 points against Jacksonville last week, 0 against New England, 3 against Dallas. They put up 27 against Saints back in the beginning of November. Tampa Bay -11 and the under.
Yeah. Tampa Bay's defense is going to be set up to feast in this one. You should get another Leonard Fournette, solid game from Leonard Fournette there. Antonio Brown is going to miss. We know that. So Godwin, Mike Evans, I know that, you got dudded by Godwin last week. Don't think that'll happen again. But you should still see a healthy amount of Fournette here as well. So Buccaneers are full go. For the Falcons, Cordero Patterson's been their most reliable pass catcher. This is a very tough matchup. I don't know how you sit Patterson with running back eligibility given all of the injuries that are at running back right now. But, he's been pretty insulated. I'm not too worried about that matchup, even though it is very, very tough. The other thing to pay attention to, even though the pass rush is really good and probably going to give Matt Ryan problems. So more of a thing to watch, or if you need a YOLO start, Russell Gage has 15 targets over the last 2 weeks, 111 yards, a touchdown, and 11 receptions. So he is taking over as that wide receiver 1 there in the absence of Ridley. It's not super pretty. It's very, very much around Hunter Renfrow numbers the last couple weeks. Really 3 of the last 4. But it's something that you can get away with if you need to plug somebody in and start. He's not likely to dud you. He is going to get the target volume as far as the wide receivers are concerned. And then, Kyle Pitts is a tight end. That's, it's about all you can say, right? I mean, he's been back below 30 yards each of the last 2 weeks. He's pretty much third on his team in target volume. So it's been, Gage, not Pitts, over the last couple weeks that has gotten most of that work. He's had 2 good games over the last 5 weeks since his back-to-back 100-yard games. So, and it's not a matchup I want to target anyway because of Winfield and how good the Bucs safeties are. So,
exactly.
Kyle Pitts is a guy that it's hard to say steer away from, a guy you spent that much draft capital on, but given the last couple weeks, if you want to put him in timeout for a guy like, Freiermuth is in concussion protocol, but he comes to mind.
If you picked up Logan Thomas, if
Foster
he got dropped for his injuries.
Logan Thomas, James O'Shaughnessy, guys like that give you more floor, I couldn't blame you for that.
I wouldn't either. Colts at the Texans. Colts 9.5-point favorites on there's a lot of road favorites. Jesus Christ. 1, 2, 3. Every game so far, road favorites.
A lot of ugly games too. There's like 2 games that look good this week. 3, I guess.
Gross. Again, Colts 9.5-point favorites on the road against the Texans. 45.5 is the game total. Colts been very good, competitive in the game against the Bucs the whole way. Obviously destroyed Buffalo at Buffalo. Been very impressive since the slow start for them, and the Texans have just been meh. But they've always been kind of close, right? Since even the Rams game, the last 3 games they've played, lost by 7, won by 9, lost by 8. I don't like this total for the Colts. This feels a bit like a trap. A game that they get up big and kind of ride high, and let the Texans kind of inch their way back in, maybe a couple late scores. I'm staying away from the game total, I'm staying away from the spread. I think it's a little too much. I don't feel as confident in the Colts being able to cover that much. And then game total wise, I'll lean the over here. If the Texans were able to battle back by down big, expect this game to kind of hit that higher mark. So I'll lean the over, avoid the spread.
All right, from the other side of this, Colts will give up some passing yards. That makes Brandon Cooks an okay plug-in. Rex Burkhead has gotten the majority of the rushing work for the Texans. So, again, it's pretty ugly out there at running back given some of the injuries. So not saying you run out and start Rex Burkhead because the Texans cannot run block to save their damn life at all. Have not been able to all season. Have not given you a productive back all season. Rex Burkhead's going to get the volume there. Do with that what you will.
Fuck, that's gross, man.
Yeah,
Jesus.
It is gross. On the Colts side of this, Jonathan Taylor is your most surefire thing. Michael Pittman saw double-digit targets in the shootout with Tampa, but before that, in the domination of Buffalo, didn't need to throw it. They didn't throw it. Why? Because they don't have to. Domination of Jacksonville the week before that, not domination, but win. Very efficient, low target volume. That's kind of been the name of the game for Pittman, so there is a little risk associated with him. Again, numbers are very, we'll call them Renfro-like, except for the touchdowns. So, again, there's definitely floor to Pittman, but there is a little bit of a chance for a disappointing output this week, given game script and everything. The Colts are a team that's going to run the football if they can run the football. So, Pittman's another guy that, I like, call it Kirk, Mooney, potentially even Gage in chase mode, given that game script. A little more than Pittman. It's just really hard to sit him right now either because he has been good and he has been productive, especially over the middle of the season. The game script I don't like. This leans more towards Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, you can definitely be concerned, target volume. 10 against Tampa Bay, just 4 catches, tough matchup, right? But 5 against Buffalo, 5 against Jacksonville, 6 against the Jets. Right?
All wins too.
All wins, all especially Jets and Jacksonville should have been, decent matchups. Game script obviously will play a factor. Yeah. 50 against Tennessee when it was more of a complete shootout style of game, but
just like it was this past week, which double digits in shootouts, right? But then the games before that, big win against San Francisco, right? Just 4 targets. Now he had 105 yards and a touchdown, but just 4 targets. Big win against Houston before that, and who are they playing? 3 targets, 2 receptions, 35 yards.
So be careful.
Yeah, exactly. Be careful. If you have another option that looks better than Pittman, don't feel bad about doing that.
It's like this is like DK in Seattle. Mm-hmm. When they don't need the throw and they can win on the ground and grinding out yards with the league's best back, they're going to take that. All right. Moving on, Philadelphia at the Jets. Philly, 7-point favorites on the road, 45.5 is the game total. Zach Wilson did practice in full. He's expected to make this weekend start. Give me Philly and the points. Wilson has yet to prove really anything since that overtime win against the Titans. Obviously, with injury, it just hasn't been his year. Give me Philly. Give me the under. The Eagles have a good pass rush, and Zach Wilson's been really, 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 really struggling in that department. I don't want to say that the Jets need to shut him down, but I don't know how much good it's doing for him to continue to just develop these bad bad mechanics, bad habits. So either way, thinking Philly in the points and the under.
Yeah. The Jets are tough, right? We've seen the Eagles defense be good. You had some relevant pieces when Zach Wilson was out. Zach Wilson's back, and that kind of hurts your relevant pieces a little bit. By relevant pieces, I mean Elijah Moore. So
it's rough.
It is,
and they won last week too. I mean,
yeah, and they did win last week. Not really thanks to Wilson, more thanks to the fact that they were playing Houston. But they did win last week. But Elijah Moore was your leading target getter, 8 targets, 4 receptions, 46 yards. So Elijah Moore, again, this is another cautionary tale of they want to get him involved in the offense, and they should be able to get him mixed in a little bit against Philly, but be wary of that as well. But they will try to get him involved. So if you're looking for starts on the Jets for some reason, it's Elijah Moore, and then Tevin Coleman saw 16 carries for 67 yards. Relatively efficient day on the ground. Austin Walter got the touchdown, but did that with just 9 carries. So
that was such a weird name I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
I had no idea who that was either until last week. So yeah, it's basically, that's a long-winded way of saying that it's Elijah Moore and Tevin Coleman, and only if I have to. On the other side of this, the Eagles have a much better matchup. Jalen Hurts should absolutely be able to feast against the Jets, whether he does it on the ground or through the air. It's a good matchup for Devonta Smith. You should get some early receiving work. Same thing with Goddard. Should be some early receiving work there. And then, game script wise says that they should be able to run it. So Miles Sanders could be in for a better than average week. And keep an eye on Jordan Howard's health, because we did see them split workload a little bit. So keep an eye on that as well. But I probably wouldn't get too cute with this one unless you absolutely have to. So I'd keep it at Smith, Sanders, and Hurts and Goddard on the Eagles side. But again, Sanders is a guy I'll tell you people I don't like for upside. Sanders is the guy I like for upside this week.
Agree. Chargers at the Bengals. Finally a game that's actually decent, and a home team that's favorite. Bengals favored at home by 3 points, 50.5 is the game total. We know that the Chargers like to play all their games close. We know that the Bengals has very much improved this year, and have tend to play it up to their competition. Bad beat against the Browns a few weeks ago, and an even worse beat against the Jets the week prior. But great against Baltimore. Great games against Pittsburgh. Won that overtime game against the Vikings, where was able to, hold their own against Green Bay. So I like the Bengals to cover this game. I think they're legit. I think money is going to push the Chargers to maybe get into that plus 2.5 range. So if you want to wait on Cincinnati, I understand. Game total wise, I like the over. Both defenses aren't great. Chargers can be ran up on, like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. It's going to be Joe Mixon, but just fucking everything.
Yeah, I look at this one and
party in the sea.
Yeah, I look at this one and this is easily the fantasy game of the week for me.
Yeah,
this is the one that I would just want to throw my
means
chips
it's going to be
on
bad this year
and say, start everyone, right? All 3
Yeah.
Bengals pass catchers: Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. On the Chargers side of it, Mike Williams I'm iffy on, just because he's Mike Williams, and the Bengals pass defense has been decent. But Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, no reserves there. I mean, that Bengals-Chargers matchup very much should be the high-scoring game of the week.
Let's hope so. Every time we think we know it, this is going to be one of the lower ones. All right, Giants at the Dolphins.
Which will somehow really be the highest-scoring game of the week.
Yeah, right. Oh, my God. Please no. Dolphins favored by 4.5 points at home. Over-under is at 40.5. I believe this is the lowest game total of the week. Giants, again, obviously banged up entirely. Dolphins just kind of win with just that grind them out pace. This should be an easy victory. Dolphins favor only by 4.5 feels like a gift too. Game total feels just like you don't need to worry about it. It'd be one I would just look past, and I would easily take the Dolphins at 4.5 and feel good about it. They've covered 5 straight games in a row.
All right, on the flip side of this for the Dolphins, Jalen Waddle's kind of an insta start given the target volume that he has been getting. So you're good there. Giants have been actually weirdly good against the running back this year. They're 8th in points allowed, I believe. So
that's because they get behind so quickly. Oh no, against the
running back.
Against the run.
They've been pretty good against the running back. They give
against the run.
15 to Boston Scott, 16 to Kenyon Drake. The only 20-yard rusher they gave up was Darrell Henderson. So they also haven't exactly played anybody great. 20 points allowed back week 1 and 2 to Gordon and McKissick. Other than that, Zeke, Henderson, they're all right. Let's put it that way. It's pretty average.
Pretty average.
On the flip side of that, Myles Gaskin finding his legs a little bit. You saw 2 touchdowns last week from him. Before that, you saw some efficiency with 95 scrimmage or 96 scrimmage yards from that. Then you got not a lot the week before. And then touchdown week before. Again, running back landscape's ugly. It is something that on paper is a neutral to slightly plus matchup for Myles Gaskin. So, and Mike Gesicki's a tight end. On the Giants front, their revolving door of injuries. Saquon Barkley has been very ineffective really the last 2 years since coming back off of injury. This does profile as a plus matchup. Could be a little bit of a get-right game if he truly is getting healthy. So you're okay with starting that. Other than that, for the Giants, there's not a whole lot that I really love there. Take a look at what they did against Tampa and Philly.
Not good.
But I don't think that there's a lot I love there from a pass catcher perspective. I mean, even if you have to throw. Plus, you got Daniel Jones dealing with a neck injury. So
behind him, Mike Glennon.
Yeah, and Mike Glennon staring down that barrel. Yeah, Evan Ingram, their leading target getter, just 37 yards. Kenny Golladay had 50 yards. Your best bet remains a healthy Kadarius Toney, just because he has some explosiveness, and that's even still not pretty.
I think I saw somewhere that the Eagles are easily the worst team against tight ends this year.
Well,
for fantasy-wise, but we know.
The Eagles? Because they're playing the Dolphins.
My God, they're playing. Never mind.
So,
as much I don't care about this game, that's why.
The Eagles are playing the Jets, so if you want to play that one, Ryan Griffin. Yeah, that's why that stat didn't come up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oops. Anyway, football team at the Raiders. Raiders are favored by 2.5 points at home. 49.5 is the game total. This one feels like a sneaky fun game. That was a
great transition to just say football team, by the way.
Football team.
I don't care. This football team is playing the Raiders.
This one feels kind of like, a little bit funnier. Washington's right in a 3-game winning streak. 3-0 also against the spread during that time.
Somehow.
Vegas is they were better, right? Dallas is sliding. They were able to take advantage of that on Thanksgiving. I kind of like Washington on the road, getting 2.5 points. And I like the over at 49.5. Both offenses can score points. Well, at times it may not be pretty. We know that Washington can hang. We know that the Raiders can put up points even without Darren Waller. I think we're this one's going to go over. Washington covers 2.5.
Yep, you're that Aaron Rodgers and Brian Tannehill this week. Taylor Heineke's a guy that I like as a streamer. But the football team front of this, it's McLaurin and Gibson, right? And Logan Thomas, because Washington football team tight ends get targeted. I haven't seen anything on the status of J.D. McKissick.
I haven't seen either.
The last thing I saw tweeted was his agent saying he's fine, and unless his agent is a doctor, I don't know how I feel about that. Let's see. J.D. McKissick concussion protocol, not practicing. Yeah, he probably shouldn't play. So it's going to be a lot of Antonio Gibson in this one, which I'm completely fine with. Against the Raiders. Raiders are a team that can move the football. Expect the Raiders to be without Darren Waller. As we talked about earlier, Josh Jacobs has been more involved in the passing game. Hunter Renfrow should set up to have a, more towards the ceiling type of game. You could see a little more out of Bryan Edwards, but I'm not going to bet on that. So really looking at Jacobs, Renfrow, and then Foster Moreau, big red zone weapon, not quite the between the 20s weapon that Waller is, but should still see enough targets to put him in that tight end, 4 through 16 discussion, essentially.
Yep.
So, serviceable.
Good enough.
Yep, good enough. Takeaways there, Moreau. I'm a definite start on Hunter Renfrow. And then chalk for the football team.
Yep. All right. My favorite game of the week. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Baltimore, 4.5-point favorites on the road. 44 even. It's the game total. Baltimore coming off of a 2-game cover streak. Though just 16 points total. Lamar Jackson was not good this past week coming off of his ailments here. Look, Baltimore wins this game. Pittsburgh covers, though. These games generally stay close. Very, very grind them out. Both offenses do not look good right now. Both are dealing with their own injuries. Pittsburgh's riding a 3-game losing streak right now. I think Pittsburgh covers 4.5. Game total feels set perfectly. I would lean over as both defenses are struggling with injuries. They have been giving up more than expected. So Pittsburgh to cover 4.5 and the game to go over 44.
Yeah, the other side of this one, Ben Roethlisberger looks like he's dead every time he gets hit. Just the way they have to scrape him off the turf and, check on his hips and make sure they're not broken, everything. I mean, he looks legitimately dead every time he gets hit. So That's normally not a good thing when we have to question if you're alive every time you get sacked.
You dead, man?
Yeah, that being said, if we expect this to be close, and they normally are, you're right about that, then you're going to go with Najee Harris and a neutral game script. Very negative game script last week. He still saw 5 targets, didn't do a lot with that. The fact is the Ravens will give up a bit in the receiving game. They haven't really faced a prolific receiving running back here in a bit. Cook saw just 3 targets in a shootout, essentially. That'd be the closest thing. Eckler had 48 yards on 7 targets. Jonathan Taylor had 116. So, I mean, DeAndre Swift had 60. So receiving backs can get a little bit against the Ravens. So I do like, Najee Harris. Again, you're not sitting Najee Harris. You're not sitting Deontay Johnson at this point, right? Yeah. You could see some Chase Claypool shots. I wouldn't trust it. Steelers' offensive line is terrible. I mean, you can put as much of this as you want on Ben. He has no protection right now. And he's not the guy that he was years ago that can get away with having no protection, step off, shake off, and do the Aaron Rodgers thing before Aaron Rodgers was doing it.
I'd still be fine with, Baltimore is pretty much a pass funnel off, or you can pass on them. It might be tough.
But my issue with Claypool is mostly efficiency.
That's fair. It is.
Because I'm pretty sure, it's efficient. He had 82 yards, 93 yards the last 2 weeks. I mean, I'm okay with it. 8 to 9 targets. Again, you expect this to be closer. You may see that come down a little bit. Those were in shootouts and playing from behind the whole game. He's been down to, 5 targets the last couple wins. The one thing that could change that, Pat Freiermuth is dealing with a concussion. Eric Ebron is on IR. If Freiermuth can't go, then, I'm going to plug in Claypool because remember, people thought he was going to be a tight end coming into the league. So they'll move him around and get him some matchups and everything. Anthony
Miller
will
definitely manufacture targets and touches for him too. So.
Because they do pass to the tight end, right? So I could see them playing Anthony Miller in the slot, James Washington out wide with Deontay Johnson, and then, having Claypool man the tight end spot because Ebron's basically a move tight end anyway. So,
See them getting cute a little bit with it. Maybe see a little more 3-4 receiver sets or not
Move some
three.
people around.
Maybe see a little more 4. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
can
what
see
I'm
that.
thinking, right? Given Claypool's size and the fact that he did play some tight end in college, that they may use him in that regard. He's 6'4", 238. He's tight end size. He's just wide receiver athletic. So
Yeah.
I like
Exactly.
Claypool a lot more if Fryermuth doesn't go. Ravens side, because they're still a team as well, expect Lamar Jackson to bounce back. You don't typically get two back-to-back games like that from him. It's not a matchup. Steelers' run defense is tough. I don't want to play Devonta Freeman, even though he's been solid, if I can help it. Some places I can't help it. Marquise Brown is an auto start at this point. Bateman's got some floor to him, but I don't know how much I love the upside, especially if Hayden ends up coming back. So I'd probably leave Bateman on your bench this week if you can. Said he's been solid. He's flashing like you want to see for a rookie, but the upside's not really there, and it is kind of a negative passing matchup if the Steelers' defense is healthy.
Yeah. And obviously Mark Andrews. Marquise Brown.
Mark Andrews is a tight end.
Tight end.
Yeah, Mark Andrews
Jacksonville
is a tight end.
Yeah. Jaguars at the Rams. Rams are 13-point favorites at home. 47.5 is the game total. This is probably the perfect recipe the Rams need during this 3-game losing streak. Haven't covered a game since the middle of October. I'm not betting on the Rams. Rams have been fucking abysmal. They should win this game. They should win this game. But I'm not betting on them. I'll stay away from this game from an entire standpoint. I need to see the Rams kind of get back to what they were to start the year.
Hey,
For me to feel confident again.
I just got your text. Everything all right over there?
Hey,
Just came through.
look at that. Finally, 2 hours later, 2.5 hours later.
Continue.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you're good. I'm not betting this game. I need to see. I need to trust the Rams a bit more before I'm back to betting them. So, and I'm not betting Jacksonville because God, fuck no. Lawrence might get eaten alive by that pass rush.
Could be. All right, other side of this. Lawrence might get eaten alive by that pass rush, but at the same time, that pass rush hasn't really been getting home. So this is the definition of a get-right game, right? And the Rams are going to run their full offense and go for the confidence boost. I don't see any scenario where they take their foot off the gas, and Darrell Henderson's banged up. So, look, this is start Matthew Stafford, start Cooper Kupp. Odell should play. Start him. Van Jefferson's going to get his over-the-top stuff. I don't see them having much of a running game. If it's involved in the Rams' passing attack and it's not Ben Scowenkirk or whatever.
Bless you.
Yeah, thanks. Start it this week. On the flip side of that, you can move the ball on them a little bit. I don't like Marvin Jones Jr. to have the same success against Jalen Ramsey that some others have. But O'Shaughnessy getting work should be fine. He's a tight end, right? And then James Robinson should be okay. You've been able to run on the Rams. So that is the one thing you can do on the Rams is run the football. For whatever reason, they are not good at that. So stopping it or running
With
it.
Aaron Donald, they can't stop the run.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. Tells me that Aaron Donald being used as a pass rusher trying to get upfield creates gaps in that run defense that they don't have the linebacking core to cover.
It's like they keep struggling to find draft picks to fill those depth pieces.
Yeah, weird how that works. Jacksonville's James Robinson and O'Shaughnessy, I guess, just because he's the name to know. LA's
Shaq Hennessy.
Yep. LA start your passing attack.
49ers at the Seahawks. Niners are 3-point favorites on the road. 45.5 is the game total. Again, this is another decent matchup for San Francisco, even without Debo, with the sputtering Seahawks. Seahawks have won one game in their past 7. And that was against Jacksonville. Duds, put up a dudder against Green Bay on the road. Just 13 against the Cardinals, just 15 against Washington. Before that Jacksonville game, 10 against the Saints, 20 against Pittsburgh, 17 against the Rams. So this offense, and with Russell Wilson still battling to find its way back from his injury, has not been pretty. Last time out, the Rams did win 28-21. Way back in the beginning of October, though. I like the Niners to cover this 3. Keep putting Seattle out of their misery. And I like this game to go under. San Francisco, during this 3-game winning streak, have scored 30-plus points. The loss of Debo, I think, is going to put a shift in this offense, maybe relying a little heavier on the running game. We just saw what Antonio Gibson did to the Seattle front. I think this is a slower pace, going to grind them out on the ground, throw when they need to. It shouldn't be much. San Fran cover -3, game goes under 45.5.
Okay. Cool.
Brandon
Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell. Look, Ayuk's in George Kittle. I mean, Ayuk is going to get some of that rushing work that Debo's vacated. We talked about this earlier, so I don't really feel the need to rehash it that much. He's their leading target getter. He should get some of that rushing work that Debo vacated. George Kittle should be more involved. Seattle doesn't have a pass rush that's going to scare anybody. As far as Seattle goes, we talked about them earlier too. DK's in timeout. You can't trust any piece of the rushing game. You know, Wilson's been pretty meh. The only thing I trust from Seattle right now is Tyler Lockett. And even then, it's only because the yardage is there and he's getting 20 yards a target, not because he's been hyper efficient or anything like that. So, you know, this is a game where, you know, I'll take the 49ers being chalk as they may be, right? I'll take the 49ers and Ayuk and Elijah Mitchell and George Kittle, and I'm staying away from everything Seattle that isn't Tyler Lockett this week. That includes DK Metcalf. You know what? He gives you a big game on your bench, fine. I'd rather have him have a big game on my bench than a dud in my lineup when I can put a floor guy in my lineup that isn't going to dud me. Or somebody with a little more insulated upside right now.
Feel ya. Broncos at the Chiefs, just 2 games left. This is your Sunday night football game. Chiefs favored 9.5 at home. 47.5 is the game total. Chiefs on his 4-game winning streak, just 2-2 against the spread. Look, the offense, it's been out of whack. You know, great to see 41 points Monday night against the Raiders a couple of weeks ago, but just 19 against Dallas, 13 against Green Bay. And that was without Aaron Rodgers, 20 against the Giants. So this is still an offense that one good game shouldn't just give us assumption that they're quote unquote back. Broncos during their 3 out of 4 game winning streak here, 3-1 against the spread, including covering and flat out beating Dallas when they were 10-point underdogs here. I like Denver at plus 9.5. Kansas City has yet to prove that they can cover games at this higher clip. As the offense kind of just doesn't, I don't think it's completely get right for them just yet. So I like the Denver to cover 9.5, and I do like the game to go over. Denver's got a good enough offense to help push the Chiefs to have to throw more. So, which, yay. So Denver plus 9.5. 47.5 point over.
Sure. All right. Fantasy football side of this, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a guy that I very, very much like this week, given Denver's kind of been a little inept against the run. You expect them to have a good defense, and while their cornerbacks are 22 points allowed to Harris, 21 to Drake, 24 to Johnson, 17 to McKissick, 21 to Eckler. So, if Helaire can get involved in the passing game, I expect him to have a very, very decent day. He is a guy that I very much like this week. Other than that, Kansas City's chalk because Kansas City's always chalk. Outside of Helaire, you kind of have to question now. But rough running back week, solid matchup. Yeah, he's definitely somebody you're going to plug in and start. The flip side of this, Kansas City, you can get a little bit in the running game, not a lot though, and the problem here with pinning Javonte Williams or Melvin Gordon is that they're still splitting touches and carries 50-50, right? So guys getting full workloads are struggling to crack 15 points a game against the Chiefs right now. Guys getting split workloads don't necessarily want a lot to do with that if I don't have to. It's not a recipe for upside. And as far as the wide receiver game goes against Kansas City, you can get a little bit more there. Bryan Edwards, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, Emmanuel Sanders. decent weeks, but really since week 5, A.J. Brown's the only guy to have a blow up, and Edwards was solid. So you need outside, bigger, athletic type guys. Anybody like that on the Broncos ring the bell for you? Oh, yeah, Cortland Sutton.
Noah Fant?
No. Maybe Noah Fant, actually. Let me check on that. But Cortland Sutton is, the guy that I'm targeting from Denver.
Tim
if I
Patrick?
need to target a pass catcher. Yep, Cortland Sutton. So, Edwards-Helaire for the Chiefs, Sutton for the Broncos. Broncos, I'm staying away from most everything else. No offense, a tight end.
Same with Kelsey.
Every team has one of those.
Yeah.
And then
besides Pittsburgh.
Sometimes more than one. Yeah. Pittsburgh, I don't even know where they're at in their tight ends. I think it's Nick Vannett is where they're at in tight ends right now.
No, Nick Vannett is he's with I think the Saints.
Is he?
Yeah.
Then who's Pittsburgh down to? They have a blocking tight end.
I don't. Chase Claypool.
Zach Gentry.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. God, Utah guy. That's right.
They're down to Zach Gentry.
Oof.
Unless
rough.
they go to the practice squad, which would be Jay Sternberger.
Hey. That's a name.
Maybe that'll be a thing.
Yeah, probably not.
Because if Freiermuth doesn't go, then they've only got 2 tight ends, none of them with very much experience. So, anyway, wrapping that one up. I don't know how we got back on Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah, Freiermuth and Fant. Got it. Edwards-Helaire and Sutton. I like 2 picks from this game. Chiefs are chalk beyond that. Kelsey, Hill, Mahomes.
Yeah.
Broncos are not. They're kind of an avoid other things if you can. Not that I have a problem with Judy either, because the other thing about Edwards and Adams is they're both solid route runners and kind of fit that mold. I think it's going to be Sutton more.
I understand. All right, game of the week. Patriots at the Bills. Bills 2.5-point favorites. 42.5. 42.5 is the game total. The Patriots have covered every game during this win streak, which are on a 7-game win streak, I believe, right now. Buffalo has been a bit up and down. Good against the Saints, bad against the Bills, good against the Jets, bad against Jacksonville. And then 2 decent games against Miami and Tennessee. Chiefs during the high times, and they were winning pretty much every game. This is the best opponents by far that the Patriots have faced, and this is probably arguably the biggest game of both teams thus far this season. I believe Patriots are actually a half a game above Buffalo and lead the AFC East at this moment. I'm still taking Buffalo. This is where I lean the home team here. 2.5. If you want to just not have to worry about the spread, you can take the money line, but I would rather just get a little better odds. And I think 42.5 feels like a gift. This could be a trap. I think this game ends up being more of a shootout. New England's defense has been absolutely great during this stretch. 13 points against Tennessee, 0 points against the Falcons allowed, 7 against Cleveland, 6 against Carolina, then 24 given up to the Cardinals or to the Chargers, 13 to the Jets during this winning streak. The only thing I see there is they played one good offense during that stretch. That's the Chargers gave up 24 points. I like the over here more so than I like the spread, but I like Buffalo to cover still and the 42.5 to go over.
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting game. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun to watch as far as fantasy goes. Might be a bit less fun. J.C. Jackson's a tough customer for Stephon Diggs. That'll be a great matchup. I don't know that you're going to get a lot more than floor out of that, though, right? Patriots have a good defense that also throws some ice water on Matt Breida's resurgence that he's been having with Buffalo ever since he got back. The flip side of that, you got Harris and Ramondre Stevenson splitting. The Bills are pretty good against the run, or have been pretty good against the run. So
yeah, they're good. Just don't worry about JT. It's JT kills a lot of teams.
Yeah. No, you don't worry about JT, but the rest of that, they haven't given up a lot against the run other than JT. You're right. Before JT, Michael Carter 18 and 3 other guys. I mean, Henry gave up a bunch. Actually, big between the tackles runners. The guys that didn't do anything were Ty Montgomery, Carlos Hyde, Myles Gaskin, Darrell Williams. Yeah. So, actually, that could be okay for Harrison Stevenson, but they're splitting. So it's kind of the same thing as the Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams situation, right? It's not a plus matchup. It's not a bad matchup, but when you're splitting carries like that,
it's a less sexy version.
Floor out both guys. Yeah. So don't love it. Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, Patriots receivers. Kendrick Bourne has actually been pretty good from an efficiency perspective. This is just a game from fantasy that I almost want to. I don't want to avoid it. I feel like everybody in this is a lot like the Cowboys game, though, where you can only really expect floor games, not exactly high upside from anybody. There might be a guy that hits high upside, but it's not because the matchups are conducive to it.
Yeah.
Also,
That's
Dawson Knox as a tight end.
Should be. Buffalo ancillary pieces is what's going to carry them to a victory.
Yeah.
Beazles, Sanders, Knox, I think is the key to this win. I think this is more of a shootout game than I think people want to realize.
I think it is too, and I think it's going to be one of those guys. Just who? Probably Knox, if I had to guess. Given what we've seen from the Bills and everything, it's probably Knox.
Sanders will get one big play, hopefully, potentially touchdown.
And,
I think that's where they're
on
at.
the Patriots side of it, you might see Bourne break something off, but Myers you're probably looking floor from him. Hunter Henry's always got the chance to catch a touchdown. He's a tight end.
Yep.
So if you got nothing out of the show, hopefully it's that you now know who the tight ends for every team are.
And you learn a lot more about bourbon and craft beer.
And the MLB.
And you went down memory lane with us.
I did. You went down memory lane with us as we looked at 0 running backs and proved that this is just a weird year where it actually works exceptionally well, and that most years that's not the case. It's kind of just a crapshoot later in the draft rounds, and you get a better chance at hitting on a wide receiver.
I don't even think the RBs worked exceptionally well this year because they went after a lot of the higher end receivers that are struggling to be productive every week.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's the show. We'll see you guys on Sunday.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Fuck, I kept missing the mouse.
Awkward.